The summer circuit comes to a close today as we show off the best Apex Legends players in the world. For every rat strat in zone rotation, teams get a step closer to sitting atop our standings and taking home the cash. It's all Apex Legends action, and it's come to you from our homes around the world to yours. And it starts right now.
Are you ready? It's finally here. This is the Apex Legends Global Series Summer Circuit Playoffs, where the best Apex Legends competitors in the world battle in their super regions to take their shot at playing for glory, bragging rights, and their share of the $140,000 prize pool. Today, we witness which EMEA's team will claim the title of ALGS Summer Circuit Super Regional Champion.
The hunt begins.
To get here, the teams earned their right to represent their region in one of three ways. The first was to secure a top 3 placement in any of the 4 ALGS Summer Circuit Super Regionals. An honor earned by such teams as Gambit Esports, Nasky Strafendell, North, and Nessie. Teams could also land a coveted playoff spot by racking up their ALGS points throughout the Summer Circuit. And finally, the last 4 spots for each super region were secured by placing first and second in the regional last chance qualifiers. A do-or-die event, putting some of the best remaining regional teams to the test.
Choose 2v2, 2v2!
All day for oh!
Now that the top 20 EMEA's teams in the ALGS Summer Circuit have emerged, it's time to begin the final series of battles to determine who amongst them will be crowned as champion of their super region. With so many variables in team comps and strats, which meta will emerge victorious? Aggressive teams with guns blazing, pushing in on the fight. Tactical players focusing on kills and evo leveling to set the pace. Patient teams dropping late to remote areas to scrounge, outlast, and sneak their way to a chance to win. And once the ring begins to close, forcing the players together, it's time for a whole new world of possibilities. We'll see engage and escape artists taking raid portals, death totems, and zip lines to third party, or disengage when things get hairy. All along, everyone is dreading the surprise snipe gods, one-shotting stragglers with a Kraber from 100 meters out. And with a newly altered map, new buffs, new guns, and the newest legend, Rampart, entering the ALGS rotation, we expect new and unseen metas and other surprises to emerge. It's time to find out which teams are going to surprise us. Who will pull out those devious, notorious rat strats? Who is going to outshoot, outthink, and outplay their rivals? Who's pushing the bolts and mastiffs? And who's sitting back with a Kraber? Ready up and settle in. Welcome to the ALGS Summer Circuit Super Regional Playoffs.
Legacy comes from the mark you leave.
Oh man, if that intro doesn't get you hyped, I don't know who you are. Welcome one and all to the ALGS Summer Circuit EMEA Super Regional Playoff. My name is Kate, this guy is named Tom. We are so excited to be here. Tom, how are you doing this early morning for the Pacific side of the United States of America?
It's time. I'm caffeinated. I'm ready to go.
I love it. I love it. And hey, I want to give a little shout out. You saw our earlier pictures there of our Lenovo Legion laptops. Remember, we're coming to you live from our homes to yours, utilizing that Lenovo Legion. And it is the official PC and monitor for the ALGS. We have the Lenovo 7i rocking the i7 processor and the RTX 2080 Max Super Q. Holy gosh, it's a lot of things to say out loud this early in the morning, but my goodness, this laptop is a beast, and we're very excited to have Lenovo Legion as our official sponsor for today's ALGS Finals. Tom, we have a lot to get to today, so it feels like the right thing to do is to see exactly what our tournament schedule looks like. Am I right?
No doubt about it, because we have so much gaming that's been going on throughout the weekend, and now we've hit the pinnacle. It's the final playoff regional that we have here in EMEA, and I could not be more excited to get this underway.
Exactly. We are up early, and I know a lot of the western side of the United States are as well, even some of the eastern side. I'll say it right there. So it's a Sunday. We're excited to see this championship schedule unfold. Of course, as you mentioned, Tom, we actually started yesterday with the Americas. We actually started with APAC North earlier in the day. We also had the Americas all day yesterday, crowned ourselves a champion there as well. APAC South came right after the evening Pacific time. Well, EMEA, here's what we're going to say to you right now. If you're in London, good afternoon. Paris and Stockholm, another great afternoon. Here in the Pacific, it's 6 a.m., 9 a.m. Eastern, and my goodness, it is early, but boy, are we excited. And there's the caffeine is a-flowing, as you mentioned, Tom. So I guess all I'm going to say is that I'm here, and let's do this.
Yeah, wait, we had tournaments yesterday?
Wait.
I had no idea. Wait, all right, here's a real question. Did anybody sleep? That's the real question.
I'll tell you right now, a lot of our crew and Fallout did not. So here we go. Get excited. Our incredible crew, our incredible casting staff, you're going to be able to see that here soon. But one of the things that is different about today's finals, today's playoffs, is our match point system. And to explain that a little bit more, we've got a video.
Playoffs, there is no match limit. Instead, teams aim to reach the match point threshold of 50 points. The teams participating in the playoffs will be seeded based on total ALGS points earned in the summer circuit, with the top-seeded teams being awarded points prior to the start of the first match. The highest-seeded team starts with 10 points. The second-seeded team starts with 9, on down to the 10th-seeded team, which starts with 1 point. The first team to cross the match point threshold and finish the subsequent match as the champions of the arena will take a zipline to the winner's circle to be crowned victors of the APAC Legends Global Series Summer Circuit from the lion's share of the $500,000 prize pool.
They said it all there, Tom. Match point is how we're going to work our finals today, and those seeding points are going to be really important potentially, but we also have seen them make absolutely no difference whatsoever in our Americas region as well.
Yeah, what's so interesting about this is you could have multiple teams on match point, and a team with less points can win the tournament. And we saw that yesterday with CLG taking first place, Complexity taking second. But how do you beat that voice actress? I mean, she just broke it down perfectly.
Just brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. Well, let's talk about the breakdown of our format here today and give you a little bit of a sense of what our teams are facing. Now, here's the thing. As I mentioned yesterday, that I'm so impressed by, 3,800 players competed in our summer circuit. That's a lot of people that have come in and out of these lobbies, Tom. Lots of people.
Yeah, it really is. And now we have the 20 top teams. As you can see, that's going to be 60 players, 3 players per team. I'm not a math major, but I think I could do that. But here's the most important thing. As we go and we talk about match point, I just want to get one thing straight, and we talked about this yesterday too. You could have 49 points and be in game number 5 or 6 and then win that game, and it doesn't matter. You have to be at 50. It's not you could be on 49, you get a bunch of points, get a huge game, and then you win. It's no, you have to hit 50 and then you get that W. It's a lot easier said than done. It becomes very stressful once you're on match point, and a lot of teams are gunning it for you.
Absolutely. And we saw a lot of teams get gunned after, we'll say, yesterday. And it's interesting because there's a couple of different scenarios, there's a couple of different format scenarios where you have to also maintain some of the point total, because though after you hit 50 and you get that match point, you are now eligible to win if you win that final circle. But if you don't, you got to keep going with those points. As we saw Complexity yesterday, they outdid our point totals so much. But we'll talk more about that later. And all the complexities, pun intended, that come with that, because it's excellent and it's definitely going to be something we're going to delve into. And I'm going to ask Tom so many questions about later. But now let's take a look at our super regional leaderboard here in our ALGS points for the super regional EMEA region. Now, Tom, break this down for me. Gambit coming in at the top.
Yeah, so look at your top 10 here and realize that starting with Gambit, you're going to get 10 points already for Gambit. So they need 40 points before they're on match point. And then it trickles down all the way to 1 point there for Lava City Boys. LCB sitting in 10th place. But don't leave out major pushers. AHG, a lot of these teams on the right-hand side. We saw CLG coming in as the 11th seed. They went and took first place. So it's going to be anybody's game here. Yes, the points do matter. Yes, it's nice to go and have that little bit of a cushion, but it's all about how you play today, throughout the rest of the games, throughout the scrim scores, throughout rank. Everything doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is these games coming up right here.
Well, and all of these players, all of these teams, this is a very nasty lobby. This lobby is going to be real tough to get through. So we're going to see some incredible gameplay for sure. Let's take a look at those top seeded teams and see what kind of points they are coming in with here. And Tom, as you mentioned, Gambit coming in with our top of 10 points.
Yeah, again, it's a nice thing to have. It is a good cushion, but it doesn't matter if you're not able to execute on it. And we saw TSM as the #1 seed be one of the later teams to go and even get towards 50. They didn't even hit 50 by the time that CLG won. So again, when we hit that 6th, 7th, 8th game threshold, so many teams are going to be in the running to go and try to get that match point. It's a very exciting format. It's new. We're going to be talking about it a lot as the time goes on. There's probably going to be people in the chat. I know there's going to be people in the chat being like, how does this work? Well, listen, someone help us out here and that we're doing a different point system here. It's 50 points, and then you got to get an actual win, which is very exciting because we all know we play Apex to get that dub, to get that champion screen up there. So it's very fun. It's very exciting. It's very unpredictable. So today's going to be a very unpredictable day.
It definitely adds some different elements. And you were right, absolutely, about those seeds. CLG are winners for the Americas Super Regional yesterday. They were number 11. They didn't get any top seeded points. So to your point, it's anybody's game. And speaking of games, this is one that's going to net some actual prize money, some real good cheddar. Let's take a look at our pricing and how down, because remember, Tom, regardless of where you place in our top 20, because there's only 20 teams, you're going to get some money. Obviously, number 20 is going to be different than number 1, but it's still something to mention.
Yeah, and this is where the points come into play on top of getting that match point, where you want to get match point, you want to lay low, but at the same time, you still want to rack up those points, because look at the difference between, say, 2nd and 3rd. That's $7,250. That's a decent amount of change between just a couple of points there. So everybody wants to win. Everyone wants to get that title under their belt. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind placing. And this is what I want people to realize is everybody's so focused on winning that don't get caught up in the fact that you still have other places that you could fight more for besides first place, and you'll never know what's going to happen as long as you stay positive. So we saw teams like Aim Assist yesterday. We even saw teams like CLG that didn't have the best start all of a sudden string together a couple of games. Next thing you know, they're in the running and going for match points. So again, anybody's type of game, it's going to be very exciting to see, and I want to see teams just continue to grind it out, never give up, and just continue to have that faith.
And I will say that we're looking at teams that have been doing that all circuit long. These are the teams that have, this is not an open. They have made their way here with guts and glory and a lot of strategy. And I'll tell you, if there's going to be a group that knows how to win this, it's this group you're seeing in front of you. So I'm excited. I'm having some fun. We're doing some things here today that with Matchpoint that was absolutely amazing and definitely something that we want to continue with and excited for today. But let's talk about some of those teams to watch. And Tom, as per usual, we know there's only 5. Go into whatever you'd like to, because we both know it's going to happen anyway. You can't just limit yourself to 5.
Yeah, and as always, because we don't play favorites here, except we did play favorites because we have a top 5 team. But Alliance, Gambit, Luminosity, North, Outsider, it's ABC order. And for the record, Blaze told me this the other day. They've changed the ABC song. LMNOP no longer rhymes with the ABCs. They've elongated the ABC song. What? I just want to throw that out there. It's going to tilt you off the planet once you go and look it up.
Or
so, Let's go and talk about this list for a little bit, because one of the teams that isn't on here is GSD, Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. And I got a DM by Nasky last night saying, hey, I have some intel on our team. I think we deserve to be on the top 5. Listen, Nasky, I asked you what your top 5 teams were a couple days ago. You missed your shot to put yourself on the list. That time is over.
There it is. But you know what?
Here's
you
our
did
top 5
mention them,
teams already.
and that's real good of you. I'll tell you that. And I will say this, Nasky is definitely one of those players, and certainly Nasky as GSD are those teams that are just, they're fun to watch in general. We listen on their comms all the time because they are so interesting to hear. So I'm sure they will be a part of this broadcast. So Nasky, no worries, but absolutely right there, Tom.
Yeah, when we go into listen-ins, it's going to be exciting because we have different languages being brought up, but also it's just a matter of going through these checklists, and it's going to be so exciting to see how different teams think, how they're able to small talk. And small talk is kind of the space that you do in between the normal call-outs that people typically forget about, right? Telling people what you're doing, saying where you're watching, saying where you're going, kind of just doing that step-by-step thing is what we need to see these teams do when we go and we take a look at their communication.
Hey, speaking of teams, we've got a great way to, if you are unfamiliar with some of our teams, unfamiliar with some of our team players here, well, we've got a nice little video just for you. Check this out.
My name is Bowen Fuller,
Mohamed Al-Mahlawi,
Ryan Schlieve,
Eric Rona,
Matei Feconia,
Tyler Clark,
Casper Prestonscard, I go by Nasky.
I'm Madness,
Matafe,
Casper,
Close,
Designful.
I'm Andy Ingame, and I play APAC Legends for North for Team Rogue.
Nasser Esports,
CLG,
For Nasky Strafe Dell.
Team Complexity. I grew up in the Bay Area of California, spent on and off about 2 years homeless. Throughout all of the homelessness, the one thing that I did keep was my computer.
2 years ago, I was working at UPS, and I just knew it wasn't my purpose in life. I pursued streaming. I got to a point where I was making more money per month than I was at UPS, so I was able to quit my job.
When I was 19 years old, I decided to take a break for a few years and join the army. The army gave me a lot of confidence that I didn't have before, made me believe in myself a lot more, so that I had the courage to take a lot more opportunities than I normally wouldn't. When I came back home, Apex came out, I realized I was really good at Apex and decided to go pro in it.
What's in crack? What's the super low as well? What's the super low as well? I'm pushing.
Being Muslim, playing in Ramadan is very tough. When you are hungry and thirsty, you can't really focus on the game. Despite that, we actually won the regional online tournament 5.
Crack them! Let's go!
I am known for doing very good late game rotations and decision making. Otherwise, I'm very known by running and spam executing everyone I know.
As for me, I didn't play many LAN tournaments, but every LAN tournament I was playing, I was kinda winning, so I'm not expecting anything else but the win.
As an individual Watson player, I don't even play Watson how you're supposed to play her, because I'm more up in your face kind of player. I W key and I die a lot in ranked because I just want to fight.
If I kill you and you play Nemesis every single time, then I'm gonna let you keep blaming it, because at the end of the day, I'm beating you.
Yo, Nemesis is not broken, but I got gold stabilizers right here.
The feeling to win is, you can't even describe it. You feel relieved. You feel like everything that you've done paid off.
There was just so many emotions when we won. Lots of tears of joy, lots of hard work that finally paid off.
Being able to turn around and win the first summer circuit was just the best feeling.
Thank you for all the support, dude. Thank you for all the love, man.
We're not going to stop at all. We're just going to play our game. We're not going to be scared about anyone. And I think we're going to be known as one of the best teams in the world.
Nice! Nice! Yeah, so holy.
Oh man, Tom makes me teary-eyed every time, and I don't care who knows it. Anything last words here before we head off?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to get this underway. Keep in mind, we're in Season 6, a lot of changes, and the key word is adapt, Kate. Watch out for the teams that have gone out and have been positive in Season 6, have gone through, grinded here, and gotten ready for what's going to come in terms of getting the R9 vaulted, having the vault in there, map changes, etc., crypto being extremely strong. So a lot of different meta changes, a lot of different compositions. I'm sure the casters are going to touch base on that, but it's going to be very, very exciting.
Absolutely. And hey, if you want to touch base with us, make sure to follow us on Twitter at PlayApex. Use the hashtag ALGS. If we feature you on this show, you're going to get 1,000 Apex coins. And hey, one more thing. If you want to be watching us on Twitch, twitch.tv/PlayApex. We're also on the YouTubes, youtube.com/PlayApexCompete. And with that, I feel it is time for us to send it over to our first casting pair. But first, Take a look at this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like, we just saw you a few hours ago, but we're happy to be back, that's for sure. Rene and Brav taking you through the action here for EMEA after the Americas has already finished in fantastic fashion. CLG the winner of that. But Brav, we got a great tournament yet again for all those viewers who love play Apex competitively. And, as you say how you're doing this morning, just walk them through what they can expect as far as the points and how people actually be scoring in order to get those that match threshold and ultimately win this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're expecting great matches, just like we saw in the Americas, without a doubt. Taking a look at the points here, if you've watched any competitive Apex over the past year, you know exactly what we're dealing with here. 12 points, of course, for first place, and then from there, you'll receive less and less as you go down. The placings, of course, also 1 additional point per kill, which, as we know from every tournament in the summer circuit, especially our playoffs so far, those kill points are going to add up quick. Another thing, of course, to mention, though, Rain, is the fact that we do have the seeding points that Tom and Kate talked about. You do have teams coming in here in a snake's order, kind of reverse seeded with 10 points for first, etc., that they're going to start with. But let's use CLG as an example in the Americas, a team that didn't start with any padding seeding points. They actually steal the tournament win. So it shows you that, of course, those points matter, and of course they help teams like Complexity get over the threshold first. But in the end, the teams that are in the bottom 10, don't count them out here, Rain.
Not at all. And I think that's the biggest conversation piece here for EMEA, and I'm sure they've been watching. If not APAC, definitely the Americas. This is anybody's game. Doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. And that's how we're going to treat this one here as we jump in or dive in to World's Edge to begin Game 1 here in your summer playoffs. $388,000. That's right, $1,000 on the line in this tournament. And this is just EMEA's portion. Game 1 begins, and we're following along with Stanny and the squad. These guys have been incredible performers throughout it all. And I just got to say, Brav, what are you looking for most, I think, from Europe? Maybe that was different or similar to what we saw in the Americas yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one of the things we're wondering that we've been talking about as we got ready for this show, we all got just a few hours of sleep, so we thank those of you who did tune in to our APAC South and or America's broadcast that are back here for the EMEA broadcast. Thank you for staying up and maybe waking up early with us as well, depending on what part of the world you're watching from. But the one thing that we've been talking about, the times that we weren't sleeping, which is most of the time, is what are we going to see in terms of differences? Could we see EMEA go the distance instead? What will the skill gap in EMEA, how will that kind of change what we saw? So far, we've seen 2 finals end in about 7 games, 1 end in 6 games. So going to be very interesting to see if EMEA follows suit, or instead we get something that might maybe go the distance, stretch these teams out a little bit further into 10+ games.
And that would be very unique. I think, to answer that question, because we've been percolating around it, I believe that this will still end under the threshold. I think going 11 was exceptional. I think it was a LAN environment. I think it was truly, it was a physical timing environment. Those guys were playing at 2 in the morning at that point. And I think clutching up in those moments in Poland with the live crowd and with all of those elements kind of made it a little bit more difficult to play your A game at all times. So a few more mistakes made than we would expect here online in the comfort of their homes. But it's going to be up to these guys here. Kick Esports, they've been rocking around, had a lot of members changes as well. Saib 8 was on that squad. Now they've got Denze, Cybeck, Kemp Zoo looking to hopefully finish this off. A nice little early start there with not a lot of pressure. And I think this is what we may see different than in Game 1 of the Americas, Brav, where we cut right to the action. It seems like Europe is taking their time.
Eva 8 here. Absolutely. Kick looking real good in terms of armor, as you had alluded to. But very excited to see it. We also see from the top teams, because let's not forget, we do have teams that have an even higher average placing than anything seen in the Americas. Specifically, I'm talking about Gambit Esports. They qualified immediately off of the break in Super Regional #1 with a first-place finish. If that's not a statement, I don't know what is, but then they followed it up with a 4th, a 2nd, and a 3rd in the rest of the Super Regionals. As we get a look here at the beacon, as things are pulling pretty far east here, looking like we are very likely going to get something either at Overlook North, maybe those southern hills around Overlook as well.
It's pretty cool at Sorting Factory. What you're hearing is actually crafting. We talked a lot about this yesterday, but the new system that's been introduced in Season 6, an incredible design. I believe the man who crafted the crafting design system, this was his first design in Apex Legends. I just think it's added so much to the game competitively and casually. And notice the Prowler is the weapon you can craft. And he says, at least BalNG on Third Impact, who we have yet to mention, but we definitely should, one of the premier teams in EMEA. He said, we don't need any of that. We've got a Volt. Prowler, you can keep that yourself, buddy. We got the new energy ammo weapon, and we're good with that one, plus the old Wingman. So there's going to be different strokes for different folks here, but the Prowler with the Select Fire, always a strong choice, especially with that R99 vaulted, as T-Squared mentioned earlier on in the desk.
Third Impact going to be happy to get as far into Overlook as they did. However, a team that's going to be even happier where they're positioning, that's going to be North, is already getting ready to hold these back silos. As you know, if you've been watching competitive Apex or played in ranked yourself, you want to be able to hold these back silos as soon as you see that pull. There's going to be no one to your back. So in the event that this pulls a little bit west off of these Overlook silos, your rotation is going to be completely up to you. You're going to have these sight lines. It's going to be so hard for teams to climb, get on height here, and they're going to have just sight lines into all sorts of areas of Overlook. They're going to be able to gatekeep here, move with the zone to their back if they do need to move west. So really great positioning here for North, early on. They are our 5th seed.
And this is a great point as well. The early rotations that are happening here just in Circle 1, it hasn't even closed yet. You see teams already predicting and aware of where that circle is going to end up most likely. There's still some variances that could happen, but most often you will see the circle end around where they currently are in this Overlook side. So teams trying to make their way now have to deal with not only Third Impact, but North already held up and ready to fend them off. Tons of crafting points, whether that's just a little bit of ammo if they run out of it for the poke, which is a great use of that, but also a triple take. So they've got the sight lines, the 4 to 8 times scope. Changes to that weapon have allowed you to take the precision choke and not have to find it anymore. Just toggle switch like any automatic or single fire or burst weapon in the game, and you could just have both options if you want a little more spread or a little tighter spread for your firing needs.
Absolutely. Talking about Third Impact, like we said, they're going to be very happy with the building that they were able to get here. Third Impact, a team that qualified in Super Regional #2, and their replacings across the rest of the tournaments were 6th, 3rd, 7th, and 8th. So not quite as high as that of Outsiders or Gambit, however, still a very good average placing for them.
And they're just content to hide around here. North still on the backside as well. See a couple of teams over near Skyhook still, and that's a late rotate for them. And what that's telling me is they've just committed to this aspect of we're going to move slowly but surely. We're going to loot up as much as possible. And you know what? Maybe even take advantage of the crafting and just making sure that when we do get there, we are going to be out-geared. Because one thing you can't do is if you don't have position, you can't not have resources, Prob. You got to make sure if you're not going to get there early, you at least need to be able to fight through and survive those fights until those late game circles.
Yeah, look at Nessie here. Of course, this is the X-Triumph roster, looking very good in terms of armor, and pretty interesting how they got here, actually, as we actually take a look to see if they're able to get through and out at Skyhook. We'll jump on board to the action here, and I'll interrupt their history for just a bit.
Mady has the Volt and the Mastiff. Great combo here. Only thing about the Mastiff that sometimes, the Volt, that sometimes lets you down is the magazine size. One of the smaller magazines for a weapon of that caliber. You can notice here, even with a level 2, extended energy mags, you only got 17 in the chamber, or in the mag, but I think that's enough considering how fast it fires and how deadly that burst can be to really get the job done for players of this caliber. Kick on the other side of things, just holding it back. They've already lost Cyback, but again, because of these early skirmishes, they are at level 3 as far as their evos go. So one more level, they're at max. Getting, obviously, that red Evo shield, the max amount of armor that you can have, 225, and just really pushing themselves into a position to take advantage of fights. Whereas you look at, Gamers Origin, great spot, but they need a poke to be able to contend with them as far as shielding.
Absolutely. Gamers Origin, another team that's tucked in here neatly. So many teams are trying to grab these buildings early on. If we take a look just how Gamers Origin also made their way to this tournament right now, sitting in a lower seed, with the average placing a little bit lower, and one of the last teams to make it in on points. However, they made it so that they didn't have to play in the LCQ. Their efforts all season long in the summer circuit paid off as they're able to get in and not have to fight through that grueling LCQ gauntlet. But now taking a look at 25 Esports, this is your second place Middle East and Africa LCQ team.
See what they can do here with the Wingman. Always a chance with the Wingman. Headshots galore. Nope. Full piercer, but do you really even need it? I don't think so. Gonna climb up there, just take some height. Really struggling on the shield, clearly struggling on the resources as well. Shadowcat just using those shield cells to get back, but Counter Stars are flying. Not looking like a great run here, because now the charge rifle is out and they realize we just can't push this without taking too much damage. We have so little shields, and it's looking like the team that they're fighting. Oh, it's one of the best teams in Europe. It's Alliance.
This is your 6th seed Alliance, and they are not afraid. You talk about a team that didn't look good in terms of armor on 25 Esports. Alliance looking very different and also looking very confident here as they reset for just a second, but it looks like they are going to continue to push this issue here at Train Yard.
Contact with hostile. I think the pace here, as you can see, Shadowcat falls, still 2 alive. And do they want to push it? I think they're just going to try to do it safely. And again, Alliance, a team that, you know, you could see winning this thing. Would not be a surprise. I think maybe for Atrocity, he's just trying to survive at this point. He's in the zone, though, so this is going to be very short-lived. And you can assume that he will go down to the ring. It's just ring 1, but it's still going to be a tough rotate for him, especially with Vapes on the side. They're going to at least get that third, get the point. But, you know, you can expect Alliance, I think, Brav, just to be one of those teams in contention. So the fact that they're fighting early, that they're taking out a team that, from a statistical standpoint, they should beat, and getting that shield stepped up, I like what they're doing here to start the game off. Still 20 squads left, but so far so good for our 6th-place squad.
Yeah, it's a very convincing, it's a very kind of confident giving push there, if you will, right? They had the armor, they had the advantage, they got the great openers from down low, and they're able to make the push right away. That's what you expect to see from Alliance. They're actually the first team that qualified on point. So, as you know, several teams, that's going to be the last player, I believe, out from 25. Yes, indeed. So that will be our Emirati and Saudi Arabian squad exiting early on in game number 1. They'll have to make sure that they step it up throughout the rest of the games to get the points on the board as they are coming in there with the 19th seed. But like what I'm seeing from Alliance, as we were talking about, the first team to qualify on points. So they did not get a super regional spot. However, they were the highest amount of points throughout the entire summer. So that tells you just how consistent this team is. They didn't get one of those wild card auto advance spots. They had to compete and make sure week in, week out, they were putting enough points on the board, and they were the team that did that the best outside of the teams that auto qualified.
Another reason to keep track of them as well is they're innovative. They were the first team in Europe to win with a Caustic in a major ALGS tournament, and they really added to that Caustic meta, especially after some of the buffs came after they won. Continued to use IPN and soar through that really European field. And so here in the EMEA Playoffs, you can expect, even though they're on the Gibby, to bring a ton of confidence and sometimes a ton of uniqueness to their play. So a great team to watch, especially if you're a fan of sometimes the unconventional, but making it work still. Over here, we're following along with Matey and Nessie. And these guys just kind of trying to peek their head over towards that overlook area, seeing, you know, how far can we go? This is good now, but it's not going to be good in a few circles. And just trying to say, okay, let's just stabilize and we'll see where there's an opening.
Absolutely. This is something they need to be so delicate with. Definitely one of the more difficult routes even earlier. If this route was happening several minutes ago, this would have been a rough route. But the fact that we've seen just how packed Overlook is already, you expect every building to go very fast, and not surprising that it's going to be a difficult route. But luckily, they do have that side. I mean, teams play that rock so often just because you can try to time a push as long as a team maybe starts to get engaged from another side. Maybe someone pushes in. They've got a little bit of time to make that move. But going back to that side of Nessie, qualified actually through SR4. We'll talk a little bit later, but Super Regional number 4 in Europe was a pretty interesting one because it let a bunch of teams that had otherwise not performed so consistently get through. And Nessie, one of those teams that actually grabbed the first place spot in SR4 after placing 42nd, for example, in SR number 2. So very interesting to see the teams that got through. Kick is another team. They had placed 16th, 15th, 29th, and then they get a second in Super Regional number 4. So Super Regional number 4 was this kind of quasi-LCQ outlier for Europe that led a lot of teams in and kind of changed the way that the field worked here. It really impacted the teams that came into playoffs and how they did that.
Teams sometimes just don't show up, especially towards the end, and they're already qualified. They know they're going to make it, and it leaves room for other teams. And, you know, sometimes it's actually the fact that these teams just have their best day when it matters most. And in a tournament like this, where especially if you look back to the Americas, CLG, a team nobody expected to take the crown on that one, having their best day, capitalizing on their moment, this could be another one of those unique experiences for Europe that really brings someone who might have been an undervalued competitor into the limelight here. And, of course, talking about undervalued, wouldn't be Lazarus and the squad of Savage, Sherp, and Amaz. These guys have been contesting and relevant throughout all of the qualifiers. They find themselves on just a little bit of a daunting path here. Noah Sniper is barreling down on them, and Amaz, he says, let me just make this easier as he sets up a port for the squad to start moving.
Yeah, trying to go ahead and push through No Name here, and any transition that's around Overlook South between No Name and Overlook is going to, once again, be a difficult one here without a doubt. Lazarus, a team that we've followed quite a bit, all the way dating back to last summer. You know, we've been watching this team quite a bit, and they're trying to go ahead and destroy some fences here. But also want to point out the track that they're on. When you talk about undervalued, I think, Rain, it's a great point that you mentioned Lazarus in that, because their trajectory is pretty great. In the Super Regionals, they went from 41st to 16th to 13th to 9th. If they keep this up, they're in a pretty good place. So I think they've got to be feeling really good about their momentum specifically, as they're going to just slow things down, hold up a No Name for a minute, and wait to make that rotation up that hill all the way into Overlook. It's going to be a difficult one. They need to make sure that there's maybe a little bit more chaos before they make that move.
That's what everyone's looking for, really, the moment. And you'll see these teams spotted out, and that's sometimes where I think yesterday we saw certain teams just rotate better than others, and they put themselves in positions to win. We had a team that wasn't really involved in winning the tournament yesterday in Liquid really have a great game one and take it here just because of their rotation path. And I think we've seen a lot of teams already set themselves up for success. Teams like Luminosity Gaming, teams we were talking about potentially winning this entire thing in Poland a year ago, having some struggles here, and it's been a struggle bus of qualifiers online for them. This team just hasn't showed up the way we expected, bro. They really haven't been the LG that we saw and fell in love with in Poland, and you know, this tournament could be amazing if they find themselves back in rhythm, but so far, not a great start here in game one.
Yeah, we're actually seeing players there from a few different sides, Flavor of the Month included in the kill feed just now. We'll keep an eye on exactly what's going on in those battles as well, but also taking a look here at Fenerbahce, still fighting at No Name, and as expected, this part of the map is going to be highly contested just on the edge of that ring, and once you get beyond this checkpoint, if you will, it's an even harder route, but there's still a few teams here that are still challenging Fenerbahce.
I love the Mastiff skin. Keeping it game-like in a game. This is how a true gamer plays. Just every screen available has to be game-related. Absolutely nothing else. Draconian keeping it kosher here for all of us who love what we're doing. Hawkus, though, man, look at this guy. Already on the triple take, and why we've seen the snipers so valuable. You'll see a shift in King's Cane when we go there in a couple of games, but snipers in World's Edge just so valuable, not just in general, but because of course, that poking for the Evo shield, and Hawkus knows it. He's trying not to get poked back, though. Opens up the scope. Oh, 60 to the dome. That's huge. Another 31. That's essentially a cracked player right there, and so they've got to be very careful. 20 more. Can they get it down? You know Alliance wants it. The thermite into the air. Will it reach? He's not even going to be able to turn around and see it in time. It will not get there, so that player will at least make it out now. But Alliance, ooh, they smell blood in the water.
Yeah, I like this from Alliance. Of course, they're, with the range weapons they have, of course, all getting on really nice sets of Evo here as well for them, and they're just going to continue to gatekeep here. They're also, not only are they doing this damage, look at this, they're going to take advantage of these two teams fighting here and be the third party from a distance.
My God, the damage, the scouts, the triple takes, they are flowing. That was what we call a 3-2-1, ladies and gentlemen. They just waited. They wanted to see everybody was on the right timing, and they said, now shoot, because that's how you get that burst onto a team that is not expecting it. One guy shoot, you hit 36 damage. Three guys shoot, you get 100, you down them, and now they're in trouble. That was amazing by Alliance, already looking like they brought their A game today.
Sharp using that charged rifle to charge that Evo as well. Big damage coming in, and they are actually going to TP and push that. Take a look at Fenerbahce, just a solo left here for Pinky Finky. And he's going to try to queue and see what he can do here, but it's tough scenes for him.
Yeah. He sees that duel. He gets him low, but he says, I'm not really trying to spend some time with that. Let me just get out of here. Try to armor swap, and you know what? Time well spent. Unfortunately, it's just not enough time. You know, that's just the way the Maker made it. Amaz coming in from the backside, and that's just going to be the end of that. But I think, Rob, you know, you can see all these teams, they've got the individual skill. It's just a matter of these rotations now getting tighter and tighter. Any mistake is going to put you in death's door if you do it this late in the game.
Absolutely. Seeing a little bit of drone play there. To be honest, we're seeing much less crypto play. We'll talk about that in just a bit, though, because the action continues. By the way, we did see action coming in the feed between Alliance and Gamers Origin. I believe in the end there, we did see them trade 2-for-1 with Alliance actually winning that one. We'll make sure that that's the case. But now also looking at Baratse to see what they're doing here, just holding this ground just towards the south.
The former team of Dead Inside. Now Baratse and Stanny Sadyama. Disbelief. Really, really excellent finishes in the final circle. See if they can keep this up here. Our Stars lined up and ready, waiting for the Gibraltar bubble. They both go in. That's the 3-2-1 we were talking about. Now they are ready. They can't go anywhere. This should be death for that squad down, and it should be Myth as well. Amaz, he falls. The Gospel Cast is out, but it's not going to deter them from running through with the flat line. That's enough. Myth, they're out of there. Baratse having a great start here, and now 9 squads remaining.
And look at that, boom, boom, boom. It's surgical. You saw the arcs come out, perfect timing. And they did well to make sure that they got that high ground that I've been talking about so much, that's just south of Overlook, that area. Teams are going to be coming up from No Name. They're going to have to make a route from Fragment East. Even teams that held that height on Epicenter, like, for example, Luminosity Gaming, we saw that they fell too because of how much pressure there is there. So very nice stuff there from Baratse, and surgical attack there. They take down 3 players. Bubble goes down. They loot, and they're ready to go again. We'll also take a look back into the nooks and crannies of Overlook here at Alliance. Like I said, they did have that 2-for-1 trade. They lost Vapes, and now they're going to play low silos here.
And remember, North is already in the backside. Alliance, oh, they lose Hakus, and that was huge on full Evo shield as well. That means there's a ton of damage coming through. And look at this. Taishin just sitting up there saying, ain't it pretty? Look at the view, and oh boy, I'm sure he likes what he sees. The G7 Scout firing away. 5 squads left, absolutely decimating anyone below ground. It is a minefield down there, and the defensive bombardment comes down as well. They've got a Watson generator, and that's going to save them just a bit of respite, but Taishin and the rest of North are out. They are wolves ready, and they are looking to climb into this first place spot as long as nobody spoils their plans, and Third Impact underneath might be the only squad that can do it.
And we said as soon as we saw their position that holding these top silos is exactly where they want to be, and my goodness, did they ever get the right pull. It's pulling essentially right on the center of their hold. It didn't even go out west into Overlook. This is perfect for North. To be honest, though, Third Impact finding themselves in the top 5. They're playing this low ground with a Watt. Without a Watson, you can't play that low ground opportunity, but of course, with that Watt, they'll be pretty cozy and be able to do a little bit of poke damage and wait for some opportunities to get into the late game here.
And really, one of the benefits, too, of staying high, Brav, that we don't often mention, it's not just where you are. It's not just having advantage points to shoot to people. It's that people aren't really looking at you. When they're running in on that circle and there's pressure, they're looking at the teams next to them, immediately in front of them. High ground often gets ignored, and it's just free damage. And so that's why. 93. Oh, he's got the stick. This is going to hit. Is he gets it down? It looks like Malawan falls. Nasky trying to finish it off, so he's still alive. Nasky Strafendel, one of the leaders here in Europe, still alive in this lobby. We haven't watched them at all this game, but they are making an impact here. A Third Impact are trying to make the most of it all as they throw another grenade, looking to find some damage and some good stuff there. Zeke, though, taking down Nasky on top.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing here from Third Impact, just really using all their throwables, doing so much grenade damage, and Balanji just takes a moment out of his calendar to do some big damage with that vault all the way up top as well on top silos on the north side. So, but looking at them, I mean, they do not look like a team that is going to be showing any signs of slowing here. All on Evo armor, all with that height still. We'll see if Third Impact is still going to be able to do some damage from this low ground. Keep in mind, of course, they do still have that rate. They do have that crypto as well. Lots of opportunities for scouting and porting here. Like,
big time damage there. Baratse Disbelief goes down. It's North who are delivering the punishment, the sentence. But will it be carried out? That's the question. Third Impact with the triple take. Balanji doing so much work. Can he hold this team up with just enough? It's 2. We mentioned it. North. Third Impact. How will this go? Zeke and the rest about to get EMP'd. What's the move here? The slow comes through. Not going to heal, and it looks like they're just going to go for it. Looking to find the top. There's the Volt, though, on the back of the dome, and that is Monday, who now has a chance. He can heal up. The high ground here is going to give them respite because someone's got to make a move, Rob. They've got to get all the way up here. Someone's got to drop, and it's going to be a matter of who goes first.
Yeah, absolutely. We did see the drone just flying around just now. I mean, obviously the big play here is what Jazz decides to do. Looks like with that EMP was used up. Take a look at that. Only 21%. Not sure if he has ult excels in the pocket. That, of course, would be the play here with only one crypto in play. That's what they would be looking at. Maybe also using a port in conjunction with that as well. But it looks like North is going to continue to poke and see what kind of openers they can get here. Of course, our last two squads in the end, Third Impact and North.
Mastiffs in hand, alternators and volts, a generator underneath, and two of the top teams in EMEA head-to-head here. The circle, 16 seconds left. We're in round 7, and it's the first game in your playoffs here for this region. Will North be able to hold this spot they've been standing at the entirety of the game, or will Third Impact have the impact that they need? We've got a second left, and we'll find the answer. Zeke, he's expecting the drop, pinging to his teammates as well. The R301 goes up in a quick reload, knowing that there's going to be pressure coming as well. Thermite up into the air. We'll see where it falls. And I think North know this is the time to make their move. The circle is closing. Are they going to drop down? They've got a little zone damage, but the Mastiff, that's enough damage for them. They can't find the crypto, though. Oh, and North with the fall. It's RPR. Will it be Third Impact back? It is going to be North. They find the kill, and finally, they finish the game. They started there. They claimed their territory, Brav, and they didn't move at all. North with the first victory here in our EMEA playoffs.
Yeah, North looking very strong, and they did exactly what they had to do. They made sure they got back into that overlook corner. That's where you want to get tucked in. We talked about it as soon as we saw it, and they're going to play with confidence from there. I think we also saw them pick up a ton of damage and KP along the way. Things get so crazy at overlook when you see teams really scurrying between those smaller buildings that are towards the west, a little bit more towards the larger part of the map, if you will, away from that cliffside. And teams are just kind of flying in. We saw them dropping down to finish squads that were only squads of 2, things like that. They play there. It wasn't the cleanest closing there, of course, as we get to that final circle, but in the end, doesn't matter. They close it out with the dub. I think we're going to see a lot of KP from them, and it's a big start from North. It's our 5th seeded team, so keep in mind they're not coming in with the most seeding points, but it's a great start for them, and if they continue this, they could definitely be one of our first teams on match point without a doubt.
A lot of teeth, a lot of teams showed fangs in that last one, but I think, North are really the ones that brought out the claws, and they finished it up. They're going to be your winners in game number 1, but there's still so many to go. We'll have to see how many points they scored, and for that, I'll send it back to the desk with Kate and Tom.
Well, thank you, Brav, and thank you, Rain Day. Guys, I feel like, Tom, let me ask, this seems like our final circle came down to high ground versus higher ground, and see what that does. Talk to me a little bit about what we just saw.
Yeah, overlook circles are so fun, especially if you're North and you get there early. You have a Pathfinder, you could sit on top of those yellow generators for quite some time. And it was a nice job by Third Impact Black. They played the low ground. They worked their way over towards the top. It's just that they couldn't win that 1v1 over towards the end. But it's just a perfect execution there for North to get there early, predict the circle, and to have that zone pull towards you. Once you see that it's pulling towards where they're at, everybody knows that it's going to end right below those generators. So it's an extremely powerful position. They're able to execute throughout the entire time. But there was other top teams that were inside of the area, right? You had teams like Alliance. We know Third Impact Black they got second. Then you had Nasty, Strafe, and Dell over there over towards the top 5 too. So I'm curious to see how many kill points all the teams got, because we did see North suck up a lot of those points.
Well, you won't have to stave off your curiosity too long. We've got the game 1 results ready. Let's take a look at how our teams did. Ooh, oh my gosh, look at Alliance. Holy goodness, yeah. Double digits once again, and North. Tom, I love to see double digits. You know I love to see it.
Had a feeling that Alliance stacked up a lot of kills, but North, they're picking up 11, so we just know how strong it is to get to that end zone so you can continue to milk all of the points. But great job by all the teams that made it into that final circle. It's a brutal one over towards the overlook side. If you're not there early, a lot of teams gatekeeping you from different spots. You have to make your way over there through multiple buildings, through people on the high ground, and it was North gatekeeping the entire time. They got there early, as the guys mentioned, and they did not leave their spot.
No, not at all. And oh my goodness. And I think it was great to mention that some of these teams you're seeing here have gotten those seeding points. Some of them haven't. And yet here we are in our first game, and people are coming out swinging. It was definitely a scary lobby, to be sure. But I will say, and I'm curious, Tom, your thoughts on this. As we had the Americas, we've had other tournaments going on over the last 48 hours here, and it felt like to me that the Americas came out with that aggression right off the bat. It was quick, it was deadly, it was bloody. EMEA seems a little more calculated. Is it just me, or is this sort of what you're seeing as well?
I think it's the zone, Kate. That zone right there over towards Overlook is a very popular one. We see that all the time. It's not one of these new zones. It's not a new update. It's there. It's been there since the beginning of playing World's Edge. So once you see it over towards Overlook, there's only maybe 2-3 spots that you could see it pulling. Once you see it really pulling over towards the edge of Overlook, you know that it's going to be right down below the generators. So in terms of calculated, yes, definitely a very calculated game. But I think that it was based on the zone and the knowledge that all these players have.
Man, I love that intel for sure. Let's take a look at our overall results, because that is where the cookie is going to crumble here today. Let's see how close people are getting. 30. Holy goodness there, Tom. Okay, North, I see you.
That's why it's so important to get those early points. Not only that, have your seeding and put it to use. Alliance, Third Impact Black, Nasty, Strafe, and Dell, they're taking advantage of the seeding that they've gotten. They've earned it. They have the right to go and have this advantage going forward. Can they continue to put more points on? We're going to see, but they're 30 points total, basically. You round that up, 29, I call it 30. They only need a 20-point game, right? So that's another solid game under their belt, and then they're looking at possibly being on a match point. But we saw this yesterday. We've seen it in this format before. Teams get towards the top, and they slow down. Why? Because other teams gatekeep them. They realize that that is the squad in the kill feed. They try to stop them. So if you're North, you have to just continue to play your game, play confident, and really hope that these other teams just don't have it after you, because they know that they will.
Absolutely. And I love that element of this match point system, of course, right? Because Complexity, yesterday in our Americas region, Complexity came out with 81 points. They were far and above point-wise, higher than anybody else on that leaderboard. And yet here they are as number 2. But the truth is that while points are extremely important to get to that match point eligibility, they're also important when it comes down to which team is going to get 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So all of it matters and all of it is important, but it all comes down to these games for sure.
The teams are just lucky that Alliance didn't continue to snowball that lobby because of the fact that they had so many kill points. And I think they placed, like 7th, 8th, 9th or somewhere along those lines. Yeah, they end up getting 2nd overall because of the fact that they have the points from before. So if Alliance was continuing to snowball that, it could have been just deadly for the rest of these teams. Again, getting over towards that 30-point threshold is very solid. We're looking at 50 points. Once that happens, you're going to see a little crown next to the teams on the graphic. That means they're going to be on match point. And once they win a game on match point, this thing ends. And it could end very quickly, or it could be extremely drawn out. And that's what makes this exciting.
Exactly. And I will say that yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the Invitational, the Poland that they had in Poland. What are we talking about? The Apex Invitational, preseason Invitational. Gosh, words are hard in the morning. And it's a great point, because in that game, TSM made triple-digit points. Holy goodness. So, and I think they went to 11 games. So it's really, this match point system is awesome, but it's also anybody's game, and it certainly keeps things interesting. Speaking of things that are interesting, let's take a look at that final moment. And Tom, talk me through exactly how they found themselves at the top of this final circle.
Top of the final circle is exactly right, Kate. They're on the top. They're on the high ground, which is an advantage here. There's no weird zip line plays, no bouncing around. It's just going to be straight massive on massive action, and then bust out the wingman there for the final shot. And when you have the high ground, you're going to win that a majority of the time. But again, Third Impact Black did whatever they could. They milked their way over there, but North was there early. They were thinking about what to do in that final zone for so long that when it came time, all they have to do is just execute. They've been there before. They're one of our top teams. We've seen how they can go and turn up at any given point in time. And going and winning that game is a great way to start this one. So again, they're only 1 or 2 more good games away from being on match point. And they're one of these teams that consistently do win games. And when they do, they win them big, Kate, just like we saw with 11 kills on the board.
100%. Well, we've got a lot more action here on our gameplay stage. But let's take a look at what you all been saying on the tweeters, because we just love our community. And you guys love us too, and I'm so excited for this. Oh, love it. I'm around my mom's for a family day and making them watch the summer circuit with me. Oh, the family that watches Apex together stays together is what I'm going to say. No matter where I am, I'll be watching the summer circuit. Hey, thank you so much, the Absta. That's awesome. I you know what? I make my family watch too, but you know, they're asleep, so here we go.
and you know what's so great about this tweet, Kate, besides the fact that they just won 1,000 Apex coins, is the fact that I can see exactly when this was in the show. It's not a gameplay screen, it's not a capture. This is in the pregame show while we're rolling the graphics.
I love it.
Confirmed.
100%, exactly, and that is awesome. And we start the theme again today, Tom, with adorable pet pics. There are not enough cats here. You know what? That's a great point. I'm not going to argue with you at all. And that one is adorable. So once again, well done there at the beginning of our ALGS Summer Circuit Super Regional here for our EMEA Super Region. Hey, if you guys would like to be a part of our show and capture those 1,000 Apex coins, and why wouldn't you? Tom has been looking for his heirloom for just weeks now in an attempt to get this. Years and years. It's his white whale. At any rate, go ahead and follow us on Twitter at PlayApex. Use the hashtag ALGS. You have to follow us on Twitter. Use that hashtag. And if you see yourself on our air, well, we're going to give you that 1,000 Apex coins. And if you'd like to watch us on any of the things, maybe start with Twitch, twitch.tv/PlayApex. We've also got a YouTube channel, maybe a free sub over there if you'd like, youtube.com/PlayApex Compete. Boy, we are just excited and to get going into our game number 2. But first, let's take a look at this.
Lenovo Legion. Gaming PCs that are stylish on the outside and savage on the inside. Lenovo Legion is the official PC and monitor of Apex Legends Global Series.
From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are. This is how legends are made. Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
What's up, everybody, to 3 of 3 broadcasts for those that have been with us all day long, actually 2 days now at this point. Big shout out to each and every one of you. Fallout here joined alongside Bravo as we're getting ready for game number 2. It will be on World's Edge. And speaking of which, let's take a look at the map schedule so you can see exactly what maps are going to be played and when. We know some of you love Kings Canyon, some of you loves World's Edge. Well, guess what? You get both of them. Of course, we're starting off with 2 World's Edge followed by 2 Kings Canyon, and then the same thing repeating subsequently after that. We're going to go in pairs of 2 here, Bravo. Absolutely. The same thing you saw on the earlier broadcast as well for our ALGS Summer Circuit Playoffs. 2 on, 2 off for each of the map rotations, which for some teams, as we saw in other regions, means changing comps even throughout that. And you could even see additional changes thereafter, depending on what comps are working here. But this is match number 2. North took game number 1 in a convincing fashion right now, sitting on 29 points. As T-Squared said, they're really only 1 game away from maybe being on match point and our first team to do so, maybe having a few cushion games where they're the only team that can win this tournament. Got to talk about a few things here. There's a few outliers in terms of where teams came in seeding-wise and where they sit after number 1. Some of the biggest ones are going to be Lava City Boys coming in with the 10th seed and now sitting in 17th. The Turkish squad, we'll see what they can do. Another one, though, on the other side, the flip side of that coin is La Cité de France, a team that came in with an LCQ spot in the 18th seed, however, right now sitting in number 9. So a little bit of a shifting of the tables, a few of the teams here already making some headway.
And Bravo, in the LCQ, La Cité France dominated with a 70-plus point game. They were absolutely slaying. So I'm excited to see what the Frenchmen can do here, as we know they've been on an absolute tear as of late. But to kick things off, we got to start it with none other than Matafe and Co. themselves. Ad Hoc Gaming representing the AHG clan tag with 0-0 Kuya and Matafe. Of course, Kuya formerly of Cabrabula and 0-0 formerly of G2 Esports. They joined Matafe, one of the most notorious streamers and pro players, with that eye black in the game, as they're going to be looting up as a currently stands, trying to find the best opportunity to set themselves up for success. And of course, we're jumping on World's Edge here, Bravo. We talked about the map differences. Season 6, quite a few changes here to World's Edge. You'll see Countdown at the top left. In the Americas tournament, we saw 2 Countdown finishes, and it was actually the walls within Countdown that disallowed Complexity from winning a potential match point victory. We'll see if that comes into effect here with these map changes. Overall, your thoughts on these map changes? Net positive?
Oh, net positive. I think all players are definitely in agreement here. So do get a look at the beacon. And unsurprisingly, we're already seeing the pings that are going down on the thermal station, train station, which is always a little bit challenging to say on a broadcast. But that's essentially where a lot of teams are going to be headed here as we see that beacon pulling right really in between thermal and tree. And it's going to get pretty nutty because there's not a lot of cover. Expect teams to focus on a few different areas here. One is going to be Thermal Ridge. That's that chain link fence that's just to the southern side of the ridge facing the train station. Another is the bottom right buildings of Thermal, if you think about buildings that are just to the southwest of that station. And then a lot of the buildings that are around tree, the dome buildings that are a part of that tree choke, will be some of your highest prioritized areas here on the map without a doubt.
Yep. A great insight on some map changes and differences, of course. One other quick storyline I wanted to touch on in terms of setting up this game is Gambit. Gambit, hands down, the best team in Europe as a result of super regional placements. They actually had an average super regional placement of 2.5, Bravo. So first place, fourth, second, and third, hands down the most consistent team in the super regionals. They've won 2 championships in Europe, one being an online tournament number 3, and of course the other one being in super regional number 1. I'm excited to see if Gambit can have a bounce back game as they started pretty slow in game number 1.
Absolutely. We'll have to see what they can do here. Right now, sitting at 7th with 12 points, so a little bit far off, like you say, that top of the pack, who's now at 29, and then Alliance with 21, tied with third Impact there for second and third. So definitely a little bit of a gap established after that first game in terms of tiers of where these teams are sitting. But of course, unsurprisingly, and we're already seeing those thermal rotations as they happen, and Gambit gets right into thermal, right into in between that choke that we were talking about. A pretty good spot, to be honest. If they want to hold this, they do have an option to get back into those thermal buildings if they want. They could even try to encroach on the station if they get the right opening damage.
That's exactly right. And I believe it was Ad Hoc Gaming that dropped over at thermal, correct?
I didn't catch their drop specifically, but it would not surprise me if that was the case here. But here's actually the back buildings that I was talking about, and not surprising to see a team like Alliance holding this already. Of course, your team, as we said, that's in second place right now, and Alliance, a team that came in with the 6th seed overall. We've been watching them all season long. LG trying to join the party as well, but to be honest, it's going to be a tricky route. They're kind of caught in between those buildings and the station, so they're going to need to make some quick decisions because teams are definitely going to try to strike and take advantage of the fact that they're a little bit in the open right now.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to the EMEF, courtesy of some intel coming in from one of the best coaches that we have in Apex Legends. Alliance drops Thermal. We do know that Ad Hoc Gaming drops Lava Fissure. So a lot of activity here on this side of the map as we do see Gambit nearing by as well. Alliance, a team that had such high expectations. You know, we all see in the player profile of Haste, really, really beautiful player profile. But Alliance has kind of quieted down quite a bit in recent times. I'm excited to see if they can bounce back. They, of course, had super regional placements, disappointing for them, of 15th, 8th, 5th, and 4th. So not one top 3 placement. They had to qualify through points, which, of course, is a big disappointment if you're an Alliance guy.
And Gambit doing well to hold this the kind of central part of the choke here that goes in 3 different directions, towards the bottom of thermal, towards that thermal station, as well as all the way back to tree. Very good spot to hold here, but keep in mind, gatekeeping this is a lot easier said than done. In the early game, it's going to be a lot easier. There's going to be less teams that are coming through. They're going to have a little bit easier time with the sight lines. Later on, when teams are trying to choke up from the thermal side, those southeast buildings, and teams are kind of flowing through tree, as we so often see, this is going to be an even harder area to hold. To be honest, without a Watson, I wouldn't even be certain that it would be a good idea, but of course they are Watsoned up here and they're going to be able to hold this for quite some time. But do expect when that pressure does come that it will be a lot of different kind of areas to look at. They'll need to have their heads on a swivel without a doubt and make sure they're prioritizing those right angles.
Yeah, that's exactly right. On board now with Hardeki, arguably one of the best players in Europe, arguably one of the best Wraith players in the world. Of course, Monsoon and many others would rival that, but Hardeki has absolutely popped off here. Meanwhile, Ad Hoc Gaming finding themselves in a bit of an exchange. Looks like Matafe and Co are tagged up quite a bit. 0-0's going to have to heal up, but the drone's going to come through for some recon, and of course a potential EMP, but looks like a counter drone coming through as well, so double EMP might be coming in. It looks like some damage has been done. 3 versus 3 fight between Ad Hoc Gaming. Not sure who their opponent team is here, Rob.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about when I said the thermal ridge right along this chain link. We knew this would be highly contested. Such a powerful position, especially really on any thermal ending. It's a great place to get to, but especially with where we're seeing this expected pull in terms of actually being on the train station. It's such a great area to lock down. You have height from so many angles. Really, there's only two ways in. Very infrequently will a team ever climb on you because they're exposing themselves to all of thermal. So not surprising to see early contention there. And to be honest, we haven't seen a ton of time of Crypto playing on that thermal ridge. It's great to have a drone up in the air that can, one, check that entire ridge for you, but two, of course, hit EMPs like that.
That's exactly right. Meanwhile, North make a rotation through Harvester. Looks like they see a team nearby. A lot of teams are starting to kind of just graze each other as they're all making their rotations down to the southern side of the map, southwest side of the map, that is. No squads eliminated just yet, though. We do know one member of Outsiders was taken out. Outsiders, a team that we honestly do not give nearly enough discussion or credit to as one of the best teams. They're the second seed coming into this tournament. Average placement of 4.5, which is pretty impressive. So I'm excited to see what Outsiders can do. They're currently down one resource, down to 2 members left, unless they're able to get a revive or a respawn, which I'm thinking is probably very difficult to do since there's so many teams kind of congregated in the southwestern side of the map. Meanwhile, I'm going to jump on board with Third Impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Third Impact here going to hold in the actual thermal complex, which isn't a terrible idea, especially just in case we get a little bit of a stranger pull. We might actually see that them having a little bit of an advantage here, actually, in the thermal complex itself, if we don't see that pull towards the exact station that we were seeing teams expecting. Here's a great look, though, for just a second here to see where teams are. We still have a few teams way out. We did just take a look at a few of those Harvester teams, but at launch site, still several teams, as well as all the teams still up a train. An old Mirage team still making their way in. That choke is going to be pretty tricky too. You already see there's going to be gatekeeping that we can keep an eye on between that thermal choke. Used to be the Mirage choke, but now it's definitely going to be a contested area. It looks like a little bit of a beacon grab happening out there. We'll keep an eye on those fights as well. But as we said, every single building and tree has already been grabbed. And now taking a look at just how thin things are getting. These entering any of the chokes into thermal and tree are going to be so difficult for the teams that have not done it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Meanwhile, we're going to hop on board with Major Pushers. I love that discussion point, Bravo, because the reality is, you know, we all know, we've been talking about really all summer long, Europe is such a high skill gap, and there's so many teams that can pop off at any moment. It's one of the most competitive regions. So if you hear some great competitive action, Europe, Middle East, Africa, highly, highly competitive. But as a result of that, we know that the European region traditionally, and kind of stays true in the Middle East and African regions as well, tends to play a little bit more passive, a little bit more for late game. They tend to kind of respect each other in early game fights, tend to play really focused on late game rotation, setting up a lot more kind of Watson traditional gameplay. You don't see as much Bloodhound or like ultra aggro comps. We didn't see as much Revenant Crypto on this side of the belt. So, of course, expected for this European region to play a little bit more passive, which is why we're seeing 20 squads remaining. Whereas in APAC South and in the Americas at this point, I think we were down to anywhere between 12 and 18 squads in game number 1.
Ratse testing the limit on that Crypto Drone Scout in terms of distance. Something you're going to see a lot of. If you're maybe the last tournament you watched was the LCQ and you haven't caught playoff action just yet, it's a very different landscape here with quite a few Cryptos in play after the Season 6 updates. Quite a few more in North America based on what we've seen. Keep in mind, North America Game 1 started off with 12 Cryptos in play. We're certainly seeing a little bit less than that here. A few more traditional comps, but still definitely being a factor in this game number 2.
Yeah, if some of the intel that we got in advance and some of the research we put in was correct, there are six teams running that crypto comp potentially. Gamers Origin, Outsiders, Luminosity, Ad Hoc Gaming, Nessie, and Third Impact Black tend to be crypto, Watson, Wraith type of comps. We got 3 teams that tend to run a little bit of Caustic. We'll see if we see some Caustic coming through, likes of Exorcism, Major Pushers, and Gamers Origin. We'll have to, of course, validate some of that. Oh, sorry, and Lazarus. And then, of course, we have the traditional Path, Watson, Wraith comp with Gambit, North, Flavor of the Month, and Nasky, Strafe, Dell. And then, of course, our Path, Gib, and Wraith comp with Alliance, Les Sites de France, and Kick Esports, representing the new organization, by the way, is that former Dead Inside squad. So we'll see if that kind of stays true here. Looks like Verazzi's obviously thrown into that mix. Not Kick, sorry. Verazzi is the former DI squad. So taking a look here at the Verazzi running that Gibraltar, Path, and Wraith comp. They're going to be currently set up. And typically Gibraltar comps tend to play a little bit more towards the edge of the ring. They like to take fights. They have some cover as kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card if they get caught in a hairy situation. And typically our Pathfinder comps tend to rotate and pick a building, pick some real estate early.
Yeah, definitely some interesting mix here. Certainly, I don't think any surprises in terms of the comps that we're seeing, but still a pretty healthy mix in terms of teams that do prefer to play with the crypto meta, whether they're using it using it as a gib, a little bit of a as a super rotate, or if they're using it, of course, with other legends for more of a super scout in terms of Watsoning up. There's definitely some different options in the way that crypto is played, unlike when other legends have kind of been brought in. For example, if we use Watson as an example, there was really one way that Watson was brought in meta, shortly after the game's launch. Instead, we're seeing crypto in a few different metas here, which is interesting to see as we take a look at Top's tracks once again. Playing on the opposite side now of Thermal Ridge is North, and just trying to decide how they want to play this. They certainly are playing edge here, and going to see how they want to make that big rotation.
The fact that we are now, 10 minutes in, and there's still 58 players remaining. Here's one team who has just one rat remaining. It's Outsiders. So this is actually a great rat spot. If you're taking a look and trying to level up your solo ranked game with some great rat strats, this is one of them. Or as my friend Rainday calls it, Rattergies. Outsiders finding a good spot. We'll see how long that lasts for Outsiders as they're going to try and sneak their way into the top 3. Meanwhile, Flavor of the Month able to get some low ground real estate over towards Tree. This is a very kind of TSM-esque setup that we saw early on in the online tournaments. They're going to get some long-range shots in to try to level up their Evo shield. That's what they're really playing for. That's the name of the game right here. 41 damage away is Taylor from leveling up his Evo shield. Of course, Flavor of the Month, the former Virtus Pro squad. Excited to see what they can do in this tournament.
Yeah, you might have caught it on Twitter today, PJ and crew talking about it. I believe they are the longest standing roster, certainly in Europe. Of course, this player is also playing together in Poland 1 year ago, but potentially, if you think about even rosters, aside from a few teams such as TSM, et cetera, in the Americas, very few teams have had that many days together cumulatively. So very impressive to see, and of course wishing them luck here along with the rest of the teams in the lobby. Now taking a look at LG once again, they've held up in tunnel. Certainly probably not their first choice in terms of real estate, but going to give them some options to play into the late game, but they are going to have to make sure that they make the move, and they're the ones dictating the decision rather than getting caught in what will be chaos on both sides of this tunnel.
That's exactly right. This Luminosity Gaming squad, and speaking of Poland, as Bravo mentioned, you'll see Xania on this team. If you remember, the most disgusting play we have arguably had in competitive Apex was the 1-versus-3 clutch that Xania had over the former Kick Esports squad last tournament a year ago with 90s and Co. And of course, since then got signed. Team 789 got signed by Luminosity Gaming, and Xania decided to merge rosters with CHMK, who is dominating the online tournament series. And since then, they haven't had a ton of success. They, of course, qualified here, so that's a great showing. But with the 10th seed, that's not really what they'd expect. As meanwhile, Major Pushers looks like another kind of edge team is going to be getting themselves in a little bit of engagement here.
Yeah, Major Pushers, a team that has kind of placings all over the place through the Super Regionals, but it got them enough points to get here. Where they were one of our last teams on points to qualify, but finding themselves in a little bit of trouble now.
That's exactly right. Major Pushers are one of our Russian squads, known to play with a lot of aggression, a lot of mechanical skills we're kind of used to from the CIS, or predominantly Eastern European region. On board of branches right now, looks like Mother wanting to go down. And here comes the ultimate coming through. Defensive bombardment from Gibraltar. The revive is going to come through. That's going to be enough to get the revive off, as Cleave's going to buy his teammates some time here. Also just trying to heal, trying to stay alive. Looks like they found themselves some real estate, and they, of course, are representing that Caustic meta. If any of you Caustic fans like to see this. We didn't see much Caustic in the Americas or APAC, but we're definitely going to see it in Europe.
Yeah, certainly. Maliwan, one of the first players really to play a lot of Caustic before we started to see super Caustic heavy lobbies for a short while. We've seen him on Caustic for a while and knows what he can do. But back over to the Flavor of the Month side, and they are on this high ground that's just outside of Tree, and this is where you want to be. Such a great hold position here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're going to see some Volt action, by the way. So, Volt, welcome to Season 6 in competitive Apex. As Nesca Taylor getting some good shots. He's going to have a fully leveled up Evo shield now. Now he's just letting it rip with the Ava 8. Not going to do a lot of damage from far away. He, of course, as the Wraith player, is the one representing the Volt and Ava 8 combo. And this is what you want to do if you have that comp. You want to play with aggression. You want to get in their faces, and it's going to work out well. Flavor of the Month able to do it. They're going to take out Lazarus. That's a big pickup for Flavor of the Month, and they're not done yet.
Yeah, I believe that was Lazarus, 25 Esports Exorcism, and Lava City Boys, if my kill feed eyes serve me correctly, that were the squads to just be eliminated there. So early exits for those teams for sure, and not surprising that's on that pull. Just take a look at what we just saw. We said that all the buildings of Tree were going to go very fast. Guess what? No Tree left in, and here we now see Flavor of the Month holding this part of the choke still on the height. I mean, this is such a highly contested area. This is where you want to be. They took advantage of that without a doubt. We do see Fenerbahce in the feed as well, going down to Alliance there. So great work and quick work as we take a look at what Major Pushers has in store here, still working together to just fight along the edge of that ring, but not surprising to see so many teams go down right there in that moment as we see all of Tree excluded from the playable area.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have 58 players alive going into the third or fourth ring. You're going to see absolute madness like we just witnessed. And, of course, the final member of Vratse goes down to the hands of Major Pushers. So, Major Pushers we've been following. We've been following, you know, Flavor of the Month. Of course, the longest-lasting team in Europe and one of the longest-lasting teams staying together since the Poland Invitational 1 year ago. Hard to believe it's the 1 year anniversary, and guess what? We get match point format again, this brilliant match point format where you have to hit 50 points and then you have to win a game. We could be here for 10 plus games potentially, which is insane to think about. Meanwhile, we're jumping on board with AdHoc Gaming. Keeping an eye on them right now. We know how aggressive they play, but Flavor of the Month finding themselves in an engagement here. Looks like a big fight. They're going to get third party from behind. Need to be a little bit careful. Taylor's the last alive, and he's going to use that get out of jail free card from Wraith. How long will it last him, though? Will he be able to survive as Taylor? He's getting hunted right now, and that's going to be it. He gets taken out. Unfortunate for Flavor of the Month, but when you do play Edge of Zone, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get caught in all types of third parties. As meanwhile, back on board with AdHoc Gaming, and guess what? We got a listen in teed up. Let's go ahead and jump into a listen in with AdHoc Gaming.
I'm netting them. Netting again.
50.
I'm gonna EMP this. Fall back, boys. Fall back. Fall back.
Low. Right low.
Come here.
Guys. Like, why are we inting?
And I will say, good timing for, you know, kind of us to jump into a listen in, just to kind of get insights into the perspective of AdHoc Gaming, and that's really been some of the issues with AdHoc Gaming. So many roster changes, they tend to just not be on the same page, and it showed right there, Bravo. It looks like Tafe didn't want to take that fight.
I'll tell you what, another issue is for the whole lobby is just this ring pull. We saw things pull here in the wide open, and we're talking about very little actual real estate to fight over here, and they got caught in the area that we actually identified earlier that's just between those bottom thermal buildings and the bottom right of a corner of thermal all the way between station. When you get caught on those crates, it's going to be so difficult to fight through. Now we'll see what Nessie's going to be able to do here. Just like that, only 7 squads left, and these last few pulls have been pretty violent in terms of teams that thought they were pretty safe.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Looks like Nessie, one of our winners, by the way. They did win our last Super Regional, kind of came out of nowhere and did a great job dominating that last Super Regional 4, so congratulations to them, one of a few teams that are champions. But looks like someone's going to spot out a little bit of a rat here as well. So we have Nessie alive. We do have Gambit and Alliance, I believe, is alive as well. Kick Esports, their first time in the debut of the new team name and esports organization, is on stream and alive as well. The former SJP2 squad finally gets signed by an org, and it's going to be Kick, one of our long-lasting team orgs in Apex. Big shout out to SJP2 turned Kick Esports.
Yeah, now taking a look here, 6 squads left just like that. We just saw a pretty brutal rat cam as we do see the solo get finished off, and that will be it for the squad. But now as we take a look at this, of course, any team that hasn't made that big run yet is going to be in trouble. Look at the shots from Mady, though. Switches over to the Mastiff. The Havoc connects for a whole bunch, but going to continue to just hold height.
Exactly right. Look at that cheeky shot. By the way, if you didn't know it, now you do. You can shoot through any kind of open metal stairs like that in Apex. We've seen it happen time and time again. Great shot's going to come in from Graceful, though, of Nessie. Nessie's doing just a good job poking, leveling up their Evo shield. They're just one player away from having a fully leveled up Evo shield, which is going to be crucial for the late game. You got to get to that point. Meanwhile, looks like Graceful is going to be able to knock Alliance hotkeys. So, Alliance down to 2 players. That's IPN and it's Vapes to see if what they can do in this scenario to try and stay alive. But they're getting so much pressure from Kick.
Absolutely, they're going to try a TP. Actually, Denze's going to set a TP down low so that they can go ahead and thirst and then pop back up if they need to. And right away, they are right there on the scene, able to move in. Gambit, by the way, going up against the Nessie side. We do see that in the feed as well. Vapes is going to be the last one for Alliance. 4 squads left.
And look at this. Vapes is just going to want to rat his way to a second place finish here if he can. Let these other teams fight, and then he has to attack at the perfect time. We know LG is alive based on the kill feed. So we have Kick. We have LG still in this one, and look at this, 2 rats, 1 from North. If you're a North fan, stand up right now because Mandy has an opportunity to do it again for North to secure a top 2 or by a miracle a top 1 finish, which would put North in such a good position. But you got to think this is Luminosity Gaming's game to lose against Kick Esports.
Yep, they are sitting up there. A good amount of cover from these gens as well. Lots of loot, of course, just trying to separate that out. Maybe have armor swaps ready as well for this move. And from the kick side, they're going to continue to try to do as much poke damage as they can here just to try to put LG in a worse spot. But like you said, one thing we're definitely focusing on is where North finishes in this, because depending on how many KP they have already, they could see themselves in a pretty good position. They would need quite a few kill points to make sure that they get through, but we'll see in the end how long the North squad can stay alive.
Yeah, that's exactly right. North, of course, came into this game with 29 points. So they do need a 21-point game, which is, probably going to be at least 10 to 15 kills. And I haven't seen them really light it up in the kill feed too much. So we'll see if it's enough. We'll keep a close eye on that. Meanwhile, Kick's just trying to level up and finalize their shield scenario. And here comes the final fight here in a moment.
Absolutely. You're going to see a few little swaps there, a few pulls. Look at all the pulls that LG has, though. I can't even see around that vault, but we have at least 2 red Evos, 3 red Evos, and a blue up top. They are ready for these swaps and pulls if need be. And now that gives them such opportunity to get all the poke damage they want, maybe over challenge as well. Kick fighting from the low ground. Still 4 squads left.
Yeah, and you got to think with high ground in this situation, Luminosity Gaming does have the upper hand. Very rarely will we see the team with high ground lose. We saw that last game with North. We saw it time and time again in the Americas. And I think we're going to see it again here. Luminosity Gaming is in a great position here. The team from CIS, of course, Ksania, one of the heroes and fans of the preseason invitational in Krakow, Poland last year, has an opportunity to put a stamp on this tournament by starting strong in game number 2 here. We have about 1 minute and 13 left before this circle is going to be collapsing, and we will go to our finish.
We got Kick North and LG. I don't know if we've seen that 4th squad, who presumably is maybe
was a
solos as well. We'll keep an eye, but now that's right. Now we take a look back at Kick. It's going to be Vaves that goes down just like that. That will be the solo. Now 3 squads left here between these last few.
And that's a heads-up play from Kick. They kind of recognize, hey, we're not in the best position to win this game. We got to find these rats and get these kill points if we can. And they actually went and specifically hunted for the rat that they assumed was underneath Luminosity Gaming. That's a high-risk, high-reward game, type of gameplay, and they're actually going to get 1 kill point as a result of that. I like that decision from Kick, former SJP2, known to play with aggression. Here comes the portal. And here comes the push. It all comes down to this. The kidnap is going to come through. What a brilliant kidnap is actually going to be the play. Are they going to get the elim? No, it actually looks like he was able to get back through the portal. Did they get the knock? Yes, they did. Kinsu gets taken out, and that puts Luminosity in a great spot, but Sanya goes down as well. On board with Rugby. He's getting some great shots in, but it is Sanya who goes down. I think it's North. Mandy, who's just hiding, and he is benefiting from all of this. Meanwhile, Rugby, the defense bombardment does come through, needs to try and dodge it if he can, but look at this. The revives and the Gibraltar is proving to be superior in this late game here.
Who's going to block that port as well as they get the last player up. Look at Mendes doesn't know exactly what's going on. You see he pokes maybe just a tiny bit earlier there. He thought maybe more damage had been done from each side. He's going to try to fly in right now, and he's causing all sorts of chaos here in the end, but it looks like Kick might be the last squad to close it out. Yes, indeed. Kick will take game number 2.
And the way that they did it, Bravo, was actually insane. I can't wait to throw it to T-Squared and Kate here in a moment because there's so much to talk about, but unbelievable job by Kick after the brilliant kidnapping play from LG. You think they're in a perfect spot to win. They also have high ground. We talk about how low of a percentage chance you have to win a game coming from low ground, but in the end, Kick is able to hit their shots. They're able to use that Gibraltar Dome to be able to get a revive through, and they're able to come out on top. What a game that was, Bravo.
It was an interesting one, too. You saw Rugby come in. I thought maybe he was just pre-tracing on that portal just to set a portal to be ready for that move. Instead, he actually goes flying in, doesn't go top cargo container, actually flies in right for the kidnap attempt. And in the end, you saw a lot of damage coming into the LG side. So maybe a play that they're going to certainly take a look at in terms of the tape. You also saw Mandy kind of coming up maybe at just around the wrong time because he wasn't exactly sure what had happened through that engagement. He popped up to maybe get some extra KP. In the end, though, he also is another kind of factor in LG taking extra damage. And in the end, Kick able to close it out. Pretty strong performance. Like you said, not easily done from the low ground.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I love, we're talking in the chat with some of the people in the chat. By the way, shout out to every single one of y'all that are also analyzing and engaging with us. We talk about how great an overlook finish is. Well, the thermal finish proved to be just as great. And to break down that late game, because there's a lot to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to Kate and T-Squared on the desk.
I love it. I love it. I love it, Tom. This is one of those games that I feel like it had. You know, we were at 58 players. We were at 20 teams for so long, and then all of a sudden, there they go. Now we're down to 14. Now we're down to 7, and then an epic final circle. How exactly did Kick find themselves basically winning this one out?
Yeah, Fallout's right. And first of all, can we just give a shout out to Fallout, because I'm pretty sure he's been casting for like 24 hours straight, and the guy has more energy than all of us. So I want to know what the secret is. I don't know what he ate for breakfast yesterday, but it's still fueling him. But it must be the same thing that Kick has, because it was just a fantastic game by them. Thermal is tough, okay? We had 2 great circles in World's Edge Gate. We look at Overlook, which is on that like east side, I guess you could say, and then you have the southwest side circle. So no matter where you landed, it doesn't really matter, because circles were even on both sides, and they were both predictable circles that we've seen if you play Apex numerous times. Okay, that circle that ends over towards Thermal, right where we saw LG holding that high ground, is very common. But what was so crazy, as Fallout pointed out, was that LG comes in and gets the capture and comes in like Liam Nielsen, just taken over there, and comes in with a fantastic portal. But yet they still are able to win the 3 versus 2. And then you wonder, is North going to be able to come in here with the rat strategy, the devious rat strategies as we see, and come around and sneak away with a win? They're not able to. It's going to be Kick instead. And what a fantastic way to start this one on World's Edge. 2 very common circles, 2 very high level ways to end that game. And it's going to be exciting going into Kings Canyon.
Yeah, I loved watching Mandy's rat strat for sure. Let's take a look at our game results. We are ready to go. Let's see how it worked out for them. Only 1 double-digit major pushers. I was not expecting that, Tom.
This is what we saw before with Alliance, where they were in that 7th, 8th area and picked up a lot of points. Again, these teams are very lucky that it wasn't major pushers this time around over towards Thermal getting a dub, because if that was the case, it would have been a lot of points up for them. But look, Kate, it's North again. It's Alliance again. These are 2 teams that have flirted into the top 5 numerous times now, back-to-back games. So look out for them in the overall standings, especially North, because we know that they had 29 points going into this game. So another solid game from them, and they're the team to watch going into game 3.
And I will say that one of the things we preach again and again and again is consistency. Consistency doesn't always mean you're in our, our fully in our observer feed all the time, because there's these incredible games, these incredible fights that happen. But the consistency for some of these teams that we feel like towards the latter part of the tournament seem to come out of nowhere, but the reality is that they've been grinding and they have been getting those 5 kills, 7 kills. So it's a fascinating topic. It's definitely a fascinating thing to think about in terms of strategy. But speaking of strategy, I want to delve real quick into the kidnapping, because I think it's an important, and it's something that's I'm a little bit newer to it, because it doesn't happen a lot in competitive Apex, but it's certainly been happening in the last 24 hours. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on kidnapping. More importantly, what some of the pro tips might be.
Yeah, we saw a good kidnapping yesterday by Team Liquid. It was Nocturnal coming around, and there was 2 people downed, and he goes and hits that portal, kidnaps 2 players to go and secure those 2 kills for Liquid. Liquid ends up winning that game, and that builds their confidence as the tournament goes on. But a good kidnapping all starts with the Wraith, obviously, because that's who's doing the kidnapping, and it starts with the phase, which is going into that Q form, going into that invulnerable state where you can also see what players are around you while you go and you hit that phase. So you go, you set the portal, you hit the phase, and as you're going through the phase, you got to keep track of who's around you, and then you go and try to bust it out, come out of your phase, hit the portal at the same time, and then send it onto a certain player. But that's the Wraith's job. The other job comes from the Watson to go and fence off the other end of the portal. Every single time that you set a portal, you either have to have your Watson go and fence it off, or the Wraith needs to start the portal on the fence. And those 2 things, hitting it while you're in the phase and having the Watson fence it off, are the keys to going and getting that kidnap.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, something else I love are our overall standings. Let's see how this game has impacted those. Here we go. North atop, continuing to be atop our leaderboards here, only 9 points away from match point eligible. But of course, a good point that you've made over and over, Tom, which is very apt, is that once they reach 50, it's the next game that they have to win, or the next game after. They can't reach 50 and win the game and be considered champ.
Does this remind you of something, Kate? A little bit of complexity vibes happening here for North overall, but we'll see what happens, because 41 is substantial. Again, back-to-back games where they found themselves over towards the final circle. Great job ratting over there. and trying to pick up as many placement points as possible. But you have to watch out for Alliance. Again, they've been over there. Major Pushers just had that fantastic game. Kick, even though they get the W, only 21 points, finding themselves in 6th place, so it's tough for them. Again, North, all they have to do here is get 9 points in the next game. So really keep track of them. Is it going to happen through kills? Is it going to happen through placement points? Once a team does hit 50, if they're able to win a game with 50 points, they are your Summer Circuit champions.
Now, here's a question for you, Tom. Is it something where you would consider this an opportunity to gatekeep yet, or are we just going to continue to get those points and then wait until match point eligible? That crown is next to each of the team's names.
I think that you just play how you've been playing right now if you're North, and I think that you take fights that are available to you. You try to pick people off as they come, but you just don't want to fall short here. You have to get these 9 points. It's tough to get when you feel so close to it, but if you're playing good and you're playing solid just like North is, it should just come as second nature. Just continue to play how you're playing. Don't get too caught up, and just, again, know that teams are going to be looking out for you. They're going to be the teams gatekeeping. They're going to be watching the kill feed. They're going to be trying to take you out. And that's the right strategy, right? All these other teams now have an X on North's back.
Well, and here we go. We're going off to our other map here. And so before we get to that, though, we want to make sure that we showcase to you, our community, because we love you and you love us. And I can't wait to see more socials. I can't wait to see if we have any tweets. Did I just totally get that wrong? I think we're just supposed to tell you that we can actually showcase your tweets on this show if you tweet at us. So tweet at us, because apparently I don't have a tweet right now, but that's okay. It's early. At any rate, if you want to follow us on Twitter at PlayApex, use the hashtag ALGS. And if we feature you on our show, as we mentioned before, 1,000 Apex coins to you, my good sir or madam. And that is something to look forward to. And hey, if you would like to keep up with us on other platforms, we've got twitch.tv/PlayApex. We're also on the YouTubes, youtube.com/PlayApexCompete. We are everywhere, Tom. We are doing the business. Anything last words before we head on over to our cast and pairs?
Yeah, just don't hit me up for the coins, y'all. That's not my job.
Please stop DMing Tom about coins. Very good point. Best said. And that is exactly how we do that. Well, we've got more gameplay just around the corner, but first, take a look at this.
Lenovo Legion. Gaming PCs that are stylish on the outside and savage on the inside. Lenovo Legion is the official PC and monitor of Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Game 3 coming up, but before we jump into that, it's Rain Day and Fallout here. We've got a special highlight package that we really need to get to you guys who have been watching earnestly. So, without further ado, John, I think we just jump into it.
What do you think is your go-to fill word? I have, honestly, this is bad. I should be more self-aware. I have no idea what my fill word is. Yeah, it's a great call out. Call out. It's a great call out. Call out. Call out. Call out. Call out. Call out.
Why does Fallout say call out so much?
Yeah, that's a great call out. I wonder if these American players will. Yeah, I love that call out. Yeah, I think it's a great call out. Yeah, no, it's a great call out.
Maybe he's trying to subconsciously tell us all and remind us of his last name.
Yeah, it's a good call out. Yeah, it's a good call out. So 2 things we'll want to look out for. I like this call here. A couple other teams you want to call out here. I mean, throw a little Fallout twist in this one. I gotta say, big shout out to the competitive. That's a good call. That's what things get interesting. That's a great call out. Yeah, that's a good call out. We'll see what happens. We'll see how things shake up. Yeah, it's a good call out. I love casting Apex, man. It gets me all types of excited.
Well, how do you feel about that call out, Fallout?
Oh, I hate you so much. I'm blushing right now. When they had me do that, I had no idea what the intentions were with that segment, but Fallout's call out, that has to become like a new segment or something, man. I don't know. I am blushing because I'm beyond embarrassed right now.
We all have those words. If you do casting at all, professionally or anyways, it's one of the first things we all talk about. What is your go-to word? What's your safety word? And I guess we now discovered what Fallouts is. And so now you're gonna be super conscious of not saying call out, even if someone does make a good call out this game, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna look up, maybe you go to thesaurus.com and look up every other word but call out that I could use to reference something in that manner. I was literally, I haven't blushed in a long time. I was actually blushing. You guys are amazing at the production team. Thanks for making me smile with some self-deprecating humor. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we're bringing you some action, and this man has been bringing you action for, I guess, it feels like 8 days in a row. It's really been nonstop for John and Fallout, so we wanted to keep him up, to keep him hyped, throw a little fun in there, but now it's time to get back into the game. We've got Game 3 coming around, and yeah, you've seen the scenery change. It's Kings Canyon that makes it up for our pros. Will they dominate the same way that we saw them dominate on World's Edge? It was not the same in North America, John. They were really some different, big, glaring, I think, teams that came to the forefront in Kings Canyon versus in World's Edge. And I'm going to curiously watch if North, if we can see these teams that have been dominating, even Kick as well, continue to have those impressive performances on a new map that plays very differently.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Good to be back on Kings Canyon, of course, making its return to the competitive Apex scene in the summer circuit. So it's only right that we're doing it justice with every other 2 times of gameplay. And a couple things to kind of keep an eye out for here, not to call out, but to keep an eye out for, is where are some of these teams going to drop. We know Kick Esports tends to drop over towards Bunker. A lot of people love that Bunker drop. Typically, we see a lot of Caustic there, but not in Kick's case. They, of course, run the Gibraltar kind of comp. Meanwhile, Luminosity finds himself in a bit of engagement here. They do typically drop map room, but it looks like now they're actually going to drop towards Center River. So they're going to be getting in an early fight, maybe changing things up, a difference in strategy here for Luminosity Gaming.
And Rugby's got to be careful. There's some underneath. It almost went by him, but they decided to stay inside. Kick directly below LG, and LG making the push. Denze tries to kind of avoid that because he doesn't want to get too aggressive too fast. There's a slit in the window. You can see it being utilized right there by LG that makes Kick probably in the more vulnerable spot. In any other building, you might think that this is the best position to be inside, but because of the vantage point and the height, I think LG is really at an advantage here. And so we're going to see how they pressure through this one. They are so close. You can see right below. He's just hiding around that corner, but does Sonya want to make that push? That's just the question.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Luminosity, after a really strong game in game number 2, gets himself on the board in a big way from a points perspective, is going to want to be incredibly careful here as they don't want to get taken out early by Kick. So they're going to play this cautious. That's why they're not necessarily rushing or playing with as much aggression as you're used to seeing this former CHMK roster turn Luminosity Gaming roster play with. But it looks like they are slowly just clamping this Kick squad by putting such good damage in on them. And I think now's the time they're going to go for the hunt.
Yeah, and this is where, you know, if you can get a little bit of early damage, you can get that blue off, you can get a shield up as well. That is massive, but as you can see, the chaos is unfolded. And oh boy, it's going to be Kick, who we mentioned had just kind of a worse position there on the low ground inside a building with a lot of areas for LG to safely pressure them. That pressure turns into an elimination. And so far, we have 20 teams to start, 19 teams now. Kick, the winners of your last lobby, immediately eliminated here in game 3.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's actually huge because Kick was right above Luminosity in the scoreboard. They had 21 points to Luminosity's 18 in 6th and 7th place, respectively. Well, after 3 kills, that's going to put Luminosity tied with Kick at 21 points. So huge if you're a Luminosity fan, not good if you're a Kick fan, but that's a great start for LG. One squad is out of here. That's the only area that seems to have been contested on Kings Canyon. There's a lot of room and a lot of drop spots to go around. So a lot of teams will not get contested on KC, but it looks like in Kick's case, they got the worst end of the stick right there.
Yeah, kicked the stick the wrong way, apparently, and we'll see with AHG if they can continue what they've been doing. Had a nice showing in Game 2. Not too much in Game 1 to really talk about, but I think overall we're seeing teams make adjustments here. In fact, I've heard that Alliance, who was playing the Gibraltar earlier on in World's Edge, and you can understand why, a lot bigger in terms of the rotation spread of the map. Obviously, when you're sniping, that shield comes into play so well in those long-distance poke battles. But now switching on to the Revenant. And you were on APAC South, I believe, last night, John. Revenant was very ample in terms of the teams using it, and how was he really being utilized in these comps, and kind of what did he provide that was different than some of these other legends?
he provided the ability to just straight up W key, which was the theme of the entire APAC South region. It was insane how aggressive all these teams from Thailand, Indonesia, China, and Australia played. They would all W key each other as Revenant. There were 6 or 7 teams running Revenant in Season 6, which is kind of unheard of. And, you know, obviously in the North American side of things, we didn't see, or the Americas at least, we didn't see any Revenant. Here in Europe, we see one team now from the European side. It's Alliance running Revenant here on Kings Canyon. So it was interesting to see that difference in gameplay across region, but good to see Revenant back in play here for Alliance. We'll see if it pays off for them.
Absolutely, a team to watch is Alliance, and also we mentioned a little bit of their uniqueness in, as far as their approach, one of the first teams to pioneer Caustic in Europe, and now pioneering Revenant in this high-level play. The only team in the lobby using it in EMEA, and so we'll see how that pays off. Just some shots of the wingman here over by Swamps, and people already getting ready to make use of these rotations or find the right buildings. And that is so key in terms of how Europe has been playing, and Middle East Africa as well, combining this region. It feels very similar, no real difference in play styles in these super regionals. It seems like everyone's kind of following suit, but a lot more patience, a lot more building heavy, and really a little less frenetic, John, in terms of what I've seen so far.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As we just got off of Major Pushers, speaking of team comps, they're running the Caustic team comp. One of 2 teams running Caustic and Gibby alongside Wraith, of course. Lazarus and Major Pushers. We'll see if that pays off for them. But you're spot on. Pretty standard gameplay from what we're used to seeing in the EMEA region. Really avoiding early game fights, playing for rotation, but then madness ensuing after Ring 3, going into Ring 4 is typically that time frame. So I'm board with Ad Hoc Gaming now, who, of course, we had a chance to listen into some of that frustration, some of that conflict from their comms. We're on board with them right now. Kuya 0-0 in Matafia. We'll see if they can bounce back here in game number 3.
We are not alone. Look over here.
Gambit, one of the teams we always have to bring up, leaders in points and overall, and just strong players, and have continually gotten better and better, I think, over the course of the qualifying here. And you can see that they're just content to kind of play this outskirt range. Sometimes when you get into the zone, and they may not have gotten into their zone yet, you're in the right spot at the right time. Sometimes, though, when you're finding your rhythm, you just try to play a little safer, and you try to just say, let's not take too many risks. The rotation path might have just been a little bit too late for their landing spot. And so they're going to play the zone circle, and that is totally fine for a team of that caliber to be able to do it. They just have to find some easy pokes, some easy, maybe even thirst that they can get along the way to really keep themselves in the point conversation as we head over as well to Varatse, who are much deeper into the circle in a nice building here. Stanny just holding these corners with a Volt and Mastiff. That's the combo that I'm sure he's looking for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Varatse, former Dead Inside squad that played consistent and got rewarded with a new team and org. So congratulations to them. Alongside Kick Esports, aka former SJP2, which we talked about last game. But you already know we got to jump on board with North, one of the fan favorites. I've seen y'all in the chat going crazy each and every time North is on screen. And of course, when North got their big victory in game number 1, they are currently sitting with 41 points. They are the only team, bar a crazy aggressive game from Alliance, which I don't think is going to happen. They're the only team that is in contention of getting to match point this game. And when I say match point, if you're maybe new to competitive Apex or you didn't watch the preseason invitational in Krakow 1 year ago, match point is the format for the playoffs. It is unique to Apex Legends, unique to really any esport. You got to get to 50 points before you qualify for match point. And then you got to win the game after that. So theoretically, these games could go forever until a team finally wins after reaching 50 points. We could have all 20 teams technically at 50 points until someone finally wins, but we'll see if that happens. Games have been ending in 6 or 7. Of course, both are Americas and APAC North in 7 and APAC South in 6 games. It's been pretty fast here, Rida.
No doubt about it. Lazarus just holding down with Sharp in this room. And I think the thing about it is that the Caustic play is good, but they still have a bit of a ways to go. They can't quite just sit there for another 2 minutes. They've got to start making their way towards the circle, but they are trying to at least keep Nasky, Strafe, and Dell, who's have themselves now in about 8th place, 17 points to their name. Keep them at bay, and especially be mindful of them as they are at their backs here towards the direction of the circle as it is moving. So Dell trying to find an opening with that wingman. He's got the extended mag as well. Everyone seems decently geared. And this poke battle, like we mentioned, as long as nobody takes any serious downs, is going to benefit both teams as they get their armors up and get ready to head into round 3 pretty soon with the ability to really contest in those late game engagements. But right now, disbelief and little disbelief is how much damage was just done to him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's going to get tagged up quite a bit. Going to heal up. Everything's okay. They do have pretty good positioning, all things considered. Depends where the ring pulls. We'll see if it pulls further east and continues that theme, to be determined here. Now we're on board with Ratse. We know Nasky Strafendel is somewhat nearby, and when we saw Nasky Strafendel earlier, we're in a position where they had to rotate, and there was a team that I believe they were engaged with. So that'll be an interesting fight to see how that kind of breaks out. I'm board with Nasky Strafendel right now. It actually looks like they're going to take a wide rotation. They say, you know what? It's not worth that fight. It's not worth the potential loss here. We know Nasky, Strafey, and Dell are known to be one of our early rotators, and a little bit of an ode to Nasky, Strafey, and Dell, as this is the last time we'll see these three as this roster, and probably obviously the last time we'll see that team name, because Strafey did get picked up by Navi. Big congratulations to him joining the Navi roster, one of the most notable team names in esports. Is perhaps a little bit of an ode to them. Let's go ahead and jump in to what might be one of our final listen-ins with Nasky, Strafey, and Dell.
Let's go over here. Over here, like.
Yeah. Make sure no one comes on our back. Was that shooting at us?
Yes, on me.
There's a gas.
We have gas. Let it be here.
Yeah, let's stay. Can you charge my armor, Strafey?
Yes, give me.
Level 2.
I still don't have knockdown shield.
I pinged you on back there, I told you.
No, you don't.
I did.
They have 2 blues? Watson and pass blue.
Where is Caustic team goes? You just make a lot of traps here and they disappeared.
Yeah.
And maybe like right in somewhere here.
Yeah, you're right. It is major pushers.
Yeah.
They're pretty fucking weird.
Whew.
They could be up. No, they couldn't. Let's go back, and then we play this choke here. Come with me.
She's a choke is taken.
Yeah, but at least we have high ground there. This is a hard fight for us to take in this house without getting 3-peat and shit. I'm grabbing this energy.
Let me heal up first.
Knockdown shield.
Okay.
Snipe ammo.
Is this house not good now?
All right, major pushers, kind of weird. Well, they're a team that scored 11, the highest kill total in all of last game too. One of those things, they didn't end up placing too well, but they got a lot of points, and so major pushers maybe making a major push, especially being noticed by GSD, one of the best teams here in the EMEA region. But Vala, what'd you pick up off of that listening?
It's fascinating to me how Nasky, Strafey, and Dell formed as a team. 3 players from 3 different countries, one from the UK, one from Scandinavia, and one from CIS, I believe, traditionally, or that region, that area in Strafey, I believe. So the fact that these 3 all communicate in English, the fact that these 3 all came together culturally and just worked hard, put their nose down and grinded, it goes to show what that resulted in, which is the chemistry, the communication, the teamwork. I love everything from what I saw right there from Nasky, Strafey, and Dell. And I get borderline emotional at the fact that this is the last time we'll see these 3 playing together, because it has been such a great story. They went from getting 20th, 18th, 15th, 10th, 5th, 6th, 7th to finally winning championships, multiple championships for this squad, and they did it the right way. They grinded, they put their head down, they improved every single tournament. It's been a great story and a great run for Nasky, Strafey, and Dell.
No doubt, champions. And we'll see if they can make that official today. North, though, they are the closest to it. Couple of kills here, decent placement. That would almost guarantee that they'd be at thresh point. Thresh point, I think that's a new word. It just simplifies it, doesn't it? Match point, threshold at 50. I believe they're just 9 away right now. And so North desperately looking, but I like that there hasn't been too much of a change. They're willing to take fights. I don't see them camping around. I don't see them really kind of doing too much different than what they have been doing. And that, to me, is a good sign of a team who's ready to win it all. You can't get kind of, I think, letting the points change your play style. You've got to just keep really digging into your back pocket of what is it that we do best and keep making sure we execute on that.
Yeah, play your game, know what you're great at, know what you're great at in scrims, know what you're great at in GLLs, and continue that gameplay. Meanwhile, I want to talk about a little bit about where the ring's pulling right here. If you take a look, it is a crazy pull. There's a ton of cliff, a lot of rock, little small divots where people can kind of hide and stay alive, a ton of elevation, which we know is true of Kings Canyon in general. So get prepared for what's going to be a crazy finish. The teams that have high ground aren't stuck kind of mid-river are the teams that are going to have the clear advantage as you see this late game pull.
Yeah, and you can hide here. You have these bins to play around at least for one round, but that's going to be tough to really maneuver from. You have to either make a move now, or you have to stay there for an entire round and try to use the chaos of kind of what that next round will bring to make a move quickly. It's not an easy position for North, so they still got an uphill battle to climb, even though it looks like downhill is the direction they'll be heading physically. Nasty strafe and Dell back on it, and they find themselves contested in a corridor. Strafey's going to back off as well as Dell, and they're just going to hit back to their generator. Watson fences up, setting up that perimeter security. And 53 now, and 18 squads left. LG, Kasanya getting involved as well in the kill feed.
Ooh, guess who it's against? It's going to be North getting wiped out. They're a third team to get wiped out here. So you know what that means, Rain Day? All these other teams in the lobby have a chance to catch up to them in points, to get to that 35 to 41 point mark as North, I don't believe, got any eliminations this game either. In an 18th place, that's not going to net them any placement points. So North is going to stay at around 41, and that opens the door for some other teams to kind of climb back in here. We're going to have an interesting EMEA finals here, just like we expected. We know EMEA is the most competitive, one of the most competitive regions, undoubtedly. Some of the best talent, some of the really most evenly dispersed teams. Anyone could pop off at any time, and I'm excited to see how that shapes up here in this match point finals.
You can see on the team tracker there, if there's 3 marks, it means 3 players are alive. If there's 1 mark or 2, it means 2 players of that squad are still alive. If there's no marks, well, those players aren't happy because they're all out and eliminated so far. There's only 4 teams who have that so far. But some of the teams to keep in mind: Alliance, Major Pushers, Third Impact, Gambit Esports, and Kick, all above 20 points, all right behind North, who have 41 and lead the lobby. But since North is out, have a chance to this game really make a push for first. And not only that, if you do have 28 points like Alliance and you get something like a 20 kill game with a first place, you have the opportunity to get into match point for the next one. It would mean a crazy finish, Fallout, but we've seen crazier things here in Apex Legends.
That is for sure. It's one of my favorite things I'll watch in Apex is the games, the hype. Yes, T-Square mentioned the energy that I had in that last game, and I'll tell you right now, it's because of this game. I love watching competitive Apex. There's nothing like it. There's no more hype game that's out there right now in all of esports, in my eyes. It's so much fun to watch for that exact region. And one interesting thing about the current kind of placement standings is there's a little bit of a lull here. Top 3 in overall placement as it currently stands is North with 41 points, Alliance with 28, and Major Pushers with 24. Well, it makes sense. North has 16 kill points, Alliance has 14 kills, and Major Pushers leading the kills category with 18 kills. However, right behind them is Third Impact, and Third Impact has 4 kill points. The rest has been by placement, or of course, they were a top 5 seed coming into this, so they got a few points from that. But it's interesting to see a variety of playstyles here. Third Impact being a team that's playing more for placement, less for kills.
Notably, a few teams, AHG, like we're following, just not having a strong performance yet, at least in the first 2 games. 5 points in total across 2 games. Got to pick that up here, and they know it. We have trying to set things up, but it's Third Impact on the other side trying to gatekeep them. This is going to be a tough fight for them. Generator goes underneath the staircase, and he goes back. Wingman and Alternator. Alternator, not a bad choice here, considering the R99 is gone, and it's so consistent as far as its mag size. Not quite sure what he's running on it. 5 shots of the Wingman could be enough. It's a full spinning mag, so he's going to get the value out of it. 16 damage, but he's getting blown up as well. Hits the Wingman, backs off. The drone is behind him, but he doesn't need it because, of course, the push is coming through, and that's Third Impact. They're going to take down AHG, and very, very unfortunate there for AHG. Just got into a tough spot. And Flavor of the Month taking down Fenerbahce as well. 8 squads left after that scuffle, but again, really a low point scoring game for AHG.
Look at that. North, Alliance, Luminosity, all out of this one. Major Pusher still alive as it currently stands. Fenerbahce, I believe, just got taken out right there by Flavor of the Month. We'll get that updated here. And actually, Major Pushers, of course, in this and in a great position, great opportunity in the game to leapfrog in the stats. Of course, we keep talking about it. It's a very important point to make. North out of this game opens the door for a team like Major Pushers, who has 18 kills already going into this game, to go have another dominant performance here. It looks like Major Pushers wants to take advantage of that. This is a great late game pull of the ring for a caustic team comp. It's going to be so hard to get through that caustic gas as teams are going to have to make their way through. Major pushers with the caustic ult are going to be in a great position here in my eyes. They just don't have the armor to follow.
Absolutely, and it's going to be, how well do they hold it? Because this is where everyone wants to go through, so it's not just going to be, potentially one team that they have to fight. It could be one and then another and another, and you could see that this could start to wear on them. You're right, if they don't have the resources to back it up. Nasky Strafendel still alive and well, trying to find the wingman shots. That's got the Skull Piercer on it. Let's see if he can pierce some skulls. Goes in, the Costa goal starts to save him. Major pushers, we talked about it just now. Will it be enough? No, Ranches goes down as well. 6 squads remaining. That might have just been major pushers out of the fight, but Nasky Strafendel, they might have sacrificed too much Fallout for it. 6 squads left, the ring pulling in. Look at those shots by Gambit. Artico, he's hitting the G7 like it's got aim assist on it. And aim assist isn't even playing in this tournament. Big time stuff from Gambit.
Massive, massive plays. And that's huge for Gambit, who is currently sitting in, I believe, 5th or 6th spot overall. So they have an opportunity here in 5th place with 23 points to go big in this endgame. However, Nasky Strafendel did manage to stay alive. We are aboard with Lazarus right now, currently in a great position as well. One of the best positioned teams in my eyes, given their Evo armor as it currently stands. But they're going to actually be chilling and towards the mid-ground. Flavor of the month below. We got a little bit of an Oreo cookie here. It's a stacker in this one as a 3 or 4 multi-stacked layer here. As we talked about, the cliffs in this late game have come to show and have come to fruition here, as thank goodness for Pathfinder Ziplines to keep a team like Flavor of the Month on the, in this one.
And that's Nasky who goes down. They wanted the thirst so badly. Every point matters, and that's almost as good as getting another placement higher. And so these thirsts are very, very important. Gambit, he's going to fly third impact, and that is the other team that really was threatening them. Lazarus, Flavor of the Month, doing their own little fight here and actually not getting too contested. Gambit has the high ground above them all, so this should be their advantage. But what do they do with it? Mobile respawn beacon at the top. There is a possibility of a respawn there of Nasky Strafendel if they are still in the game, but it might be that they are too late. Lazarus, Jay Savage goes down, and it's Hardeki who finds the final kill, but Artico is falling, and Flavor of the Month are starting to get involved, John.
Exactly right. Smart decision for Flavor of the Month. The third part of this fight. This is exactly what you want to do in this scenario. But Ched's going to be the last one alive for his team. He's going to be getting tagged up, just trying to rack up some kill points if he can, trying to keep his team alive in this one. Down to no shields, and there's 4 squads remaining. We know Gambit's one of them, but he's going to be Flavor of the Month that gets taken out here, Ray Day.
I can't believe it. It's Dell who comes through from Nasky Strafendel, and he takes down Flavor of the Month. The full squad alignment earns them another placement point. And Gambit, they start to fall as well. It's Lazarus coming through at the very end. Who will end up
the 1 versus 1?
It's going to be Gambit, though, still alive, and it's Lazarus versus Gambit. And no, it's Dell with the massive shots. Can he finish this? No way. Nasky Strafendel cleaned this up. He did it! Oh my God! He gets the win, and Nasky Strafendel are your champions in Game 3. How did they pull that off?
You gotta be kidding me. Gambit was so well positioned to win that game, Rain Day. You had the brilliant call, but in the end, Dell clutched up. He did Dell things in a 1 versus 1 for the bread. That member of Gambit thought that they were able to sneak away through the Into the Void as the Wraith, and no, he tracked the path, was able to get the Great Mastiff shots on, followed up with the Wingman, and brilliant shots put through, and he had to thread that like a needle through some of those planks and some of that low ground. Brilliant shots put in from Dell, one of the most skillful players in our European region.
Just a sliver of health Fallout, and so we didn't see where he was coming from, but in my mind, that's getting a finish onto maybe Hardeki and an armor swap. Like, it feels like that he won a 1v1 and armor swapped and just had literally one shot being the difference of surviving, winning that game, or going down in about 3rd place. I cannot wait to see that more. I cannot wait to break that down. In fact, I'm not going to wait. What a game. Nasky Strafendel are your winners. Let's send it back to Kate and Tom and see what they thought about that amazing finish.
I'll tell you, we do a great job, I think, of being pretty even-keeled, but the reality of the situation is the context behind Nasky Strafendel, this being their last tournament together, and that final circle finish. Tom, it is the thing that Apex streams are made of.
Hey, we don't know if it's their final tournament as a team quite yet. We'll see what happens, but holy cow, Dell is insane. He must be playing on a Lenovo laptop or a monitor, gaming PC, some sort of thing, Kay. I think that's what he's doing.
Absolutely right. And I think this is a great masterclass in how to come at something. Gambit, as they mentioned, they were in that perfect position. They had it to lose, and then Dell, GSD, but Dell comes in and really takes it. We actually have those game results. We want to jump right into that. We'll talk about Nasky Strafen a little bit more in just a moment, but let's take a look at those results and see how they did overall, or excuse me, in this third game. Here we go. Not surprising, here we go. We're actually a little bit more even on our kill points here, Tom. No double digits to be seen.
Where are the kill points? Where'd they go? That doesn't add up right there. Somebody outside of the top 10 must have got a lot of points, or somebody forgot to carry over the 1 inside of the graphics department. But Nasky Strafen Dell, it's not just the win, it's the way that they were able to do it. Being down a player, only having 1 player alive coming into that situation, and the way that you're able to go and hit those amazing shots while your teammates are watching, that's only going to inspire everybody else to play the highest level of Apex. The blood's got to be flowing. They have to be feeling good. And I really feel GSD is a strong Kings Canyon team, so I wouldn't doubt if they continue to just go and put and add more points on this map.
Well, and we just saw evidence of that, to be sure. And of course, we're going to stay on Kings Canyon for one more game and then go back to World's Edge. But it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, we have that's our overalls. Nope, just kidding. Hey, you know what? That's okay, because I really want to talk about Nasky Strafen Dell, particularly Dell. And I want you to kind of do me a favor, Tom, and walk us through how exactly he found his team and himself in that final circle at the top of our leaderboards for this third game.
Yeah, I would just like to point out all these games have been so entertaining, and I think that it starts with, again, the circles and the way that they're pulling. These circles are very common zones. A lot of players know where this zone's going to be. They know that it's going to be up on top of where that, I guess, little tower is, sniper tower, or whatever you want to call it. So whoever holds that area for a while is going to be in a great position. But you can see how many spots you can hold. You can hold the top. You can hold underneath where these little stairs are, that little ramp. You could hide underneath. You could hide all the way on the bottom. So you're looking at 4 to 5 teams just layered on top of one another. Gambit comes in healthy. Nasky Strafen Dell, they're a little bit weak. Their resources are low, but it's just Dell with the fantastic shots. Those wingman shots were so crucial. He won back-to-back tough team fights, and he was able to do it when his team needed him most. Just a great job by Dell.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at how that job has impacted our overall leaderboards right now. We have them ready to go. Third game here in the EMEA region North, steady at 41. Steady at 41 there, my friend. That's I don't know, that's surprising to me.
That's tough, right? If you're a North fan, if you're a North player, if whatever you are on the North side, that's just not what you were hoping to see. You were hoping to see them get those 9 points that they needed. You're hoping to see them be on match point going into game 4. But instead, we're looking at 5 teams now with 1 good game, and then they're going to be on match point. So this is where stuff starts to get really interesting, Kate. Once we start to hit game 4, game 5, game 6, we're looking at just adding more and more teams onto match point. No one's there quite yet. We thought it was going to be North, but now so many other teams having their name in that conversation. 10 teams overall, halfway there almost. So LG sitting at 24 halfway, so 7, I guess. But that whole left side, 1 good game, and they're there.
And this is what's interesting, too. What we saw in APAC South, certainly, what we certainly saw in Americas, was we had that one team that soared above the rest in the first few games. That one team that had the arrows on their back, that had the scope. The reality here is that we don't have that one team. So that in the Americas version, it was Complexity that came out swinging, that were the first team to make match point eligible, and then they were the targets for everybody else. Well, guess what? You're absolutely right, Tom. We're coming at this from the perspective of we live in a world where we could have a match point eligible game 5 that has 4 different teams that have made themselves known. Well, maybe not 4, but still, you understand what I'm saying, where it's like we don't have that one single team because, unfortunately, as we just saw there, North had a bit of a misstep here in game 3.
Yeah, the casters were talking about, I think it was Fallout who touched base on how even the region is. The EMEA region is so tough to play in. Why? Because everybody's so talented and everyone's so evenly matched. It's not like these other regions where you kind of have your favorites here and there and it's a little bit more predictable. Heck, anything can go on these type of days, right? Anybody can win, but we've seen throughout the summer who kind of deserves to kind of be in that mentioning, who's gotten the respect based on the placings, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody has the respect here. They're all top teams in the region, the top 20 teams duking it out. But it's been exciting so far. I just think that it's, to me, a heartbreaker for North because of the fact that they could have been and just got a huge advantage on top of the entire lobby based on their first 2 games. Maybe it's a Kings Canyon thing, Kate. Maybe they're extremely strong on World's Edge and just weren't able to put it together on Kings Canyon, or maybe it was a tough go of it. We've seen North play extremely well on Kings Canyon, no doubt. We've seen them have very slow games and then all of a sudden win and bounce to the top of the points too. So North could turn it on at every given point in time, but that's what's tough is any of these teams can do that.
Exactly. Every one of these teams is capable, and every one of these teams has seen it. Speaking of things that we can see, let's take a look. We've got a replay from our Game 3 video featuring Clutch from Lazarus, or featuring at Clutch from Lazarus, excuse me. So let's take a look. Tom, talk me through how Lazarus did this.
Top that they were trying to get this angle, but I think this is when Dell is camping down below here. You can see Dell picks up that clutch wingman kill. That's going to be Strafey as well, picking up one on the flavor of the month. So now there's only 3 squads left, and this was so perfect for Myth, but it ends up being even more perfect for Dell because of the fact that he comes up with the third party. So he's camping around the corner, weakening these players from Gambit. Meanwhile, Dell is just chomping at the bits down low. But one of the things that we have to point out for Dell is while he did have max shields, he was missing health there. So advantage was on over to Gambit. Yes, Dell did have the high ground, but just the balls on that play, just great job keeping it together and playing confident. You got to give it to Dell. Nasty, Strafe, and Dell really feeling themselves there. They're going to have a lot of confidence going forward. And we've seen CLG, a team like that yesterday, ride the momentum. Is it going to be GST that rides that momentum after seeing their teammate do so well?
Well, only time will tell, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at what you have to say from our community all across the globe that's watching us right now. We got some tweets for you. Hey, look at those 2 people. We see this. So this is how we spend our anniversary this year. Oh, Rena, thank you. And I'm so sorry. But that's, you know what? Hey, listen, well, it's very clear I haven't seen these tweets before. They come up. So, Tom, over to you.
Great way to spend the anniversary, honestly. And I don't blame you for not wanting to get out of bed. I mean, heck, It was a tough day to wake up today. It's Sunday. This is the lazy day, but so many players here competing for so much money. They got to wake up. They got to do it. It's early Apex wherever you are. And you love to see the cat holding it down.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Rena. Oh, and look, it spent the morning watching the ALGS finals like this. Oh, what a cutie patootie. Best Sunday ever. Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. Well done. This is fantastic. Thanks so much for watching with us here. Oh, my goodness.
Is that a lava lamp in the background? That's old
I hope
school.
so, man.
Love
That's
the
awesome.
lava lamp. Love the lava lamp. Hey, you just got 1,000 Apex coins,
Yeah.
too. Another one, Kate.
Early morning.
It's early morning. Great call-outs by the casters. Call-outs. This is the most epic thing I've ever seen in my life.
I was going to say John Fallout is how I call him. Obviously not Kapalekos or, oh God, and I mispronounced his name again. Here we go. That's it. Come at me, chat. I feel it. I love John so much. Here we go, Cameron, coming in with our final tweet. Watching the A's, just rooting for Nasky, Strafe, and Dill as always. Hey, listen, Cameron, you did a great job choosing a team to root for today, as we just saw in that Game 3. My goodness. Tom, I'm going to say it right now. We have kind of the best community ever.
We really do, and if they look happy while they were taking that selfie, just imagine how happy they are after the win coming out from Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. Again, you can't give Dell enough credit for how he was able to do that. Should have not won that game, and he was able to do so. Those points are going to come up so crucial.
Absolutely. Well, hey, something else that's crucial. We're giving away Apex coins, 1,000 to be exact. Whew, words. Here we go. And that is by being featured on our show. And how are you going to be featured? Well, I'm glad you asked. You go ahead and follow us at PlayApex on Twitter. Use the hashtag ALGS. And if we see your tweet here on our show, well, you are 1,000 Apex coins richer, which means you're sitting pretty, I would say. But hey, listen, if you'd like to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/PlayApex. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/PlayApex. Compete. Tom, we are everywhere. We are enjoying ourselves. We're doing the business. And next up, we got Rain Day and Bravo for Game 4. Are you excited?
I'm ready. This could be our last Kings Canyon match if someone takes on a World's Edge in Game 5 or 6.
You heard it here first, guys. Now, over to Rain Day and Brav. Thanks, guys.
You're right about the map schedule, and Brav, you know, I feel like we should mention it before we jump right back into it. We are rotating maps every 2. So we started out on World's Edge. This is going to be our second one on Kings Canyon, which is map 4. And then we're going to be going back into World's Edge after this game. So the question is, you know, we know it's going to, no one's at threshold now, so you can't win now on Kings Canyon. But do you think we're going to get a winner in 5 and 6? Do you think it's going to be like APAC, or will it last a little bit longer like we saw in the Americas yesterday?
Oh man, I think we are set up to go the distance here. If I had to guess, just based on how things have gone. I mean, North was just up 41-28, big lead going into potential match point territory. And just like that, now it's 41-37 is the next closest. And if we look down the table, guess what? There's 5 other teams between 36 and 27. North has officially let the rest of the table catch up. You have to think even more pressure on them now, just because they're going to be looking back at this moment and saying, guys, all we had to do was get 19 points across those 2 games and make sure that we were going to secure it. They're unable to do so far. They need to make sure they step it up, but fighting at their heels is Gambit, Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. Third Impact, Alliance, and Major Pushers. That's your top 6, and each one of them looking to beat North into match point territory if they can.
Well, you know what, Brav? It's one thing to trip when you're, you know, right at the beginning of the race, and you know, not qualify, coming in last place. You know, you feel like, oh, I just should have trained harder. It wasn't my day. It's one thing to trip at the finish line. I think that's what you're right. Mentally, could be affecting North here. 41 points, having a chance to go over threshold. Now 41 points again, having a chance to go over threshold. Let's hope that we see a little bit of improvement from them as we head over to the map room down in Kings Canyon for our 4th game of this incredible series of EMEA playoffs going on. You got to get past 50 points based on your kill points and your placements. Once you hit that threshold of 50, you have to then win a game. You cannot win this tournament without being the winner of a game after you've crossed 50 points. So we've got some fireworks coming up, both literally and figuratively. And I think this is going to be a great setup here. A lot of teams vying for really the Canyon. And this has been a different showcase, Brav, I think, of skill sets just to dominate here as you know, it is to dominate on World's Edge.
Absolutely. Kick here going with the map room drop. Bit different than we saw in scrims. We did see them dropping Bunker recently. You have to think also just above them is Gambit and Repulsor. And whenever you are a team that's in map room, you need to be very aware of who is in Repulsor and how they play. That's probably the reason you might not see a scan here from the map room, just because any talented team, when they do see that scan, they're going to be checking map room. They're going to be poking in if they get the right openings. For example, we saw Sentinels do it in the Americas. We know Gambit is possible of it. So interesting drops for both of them. But to be honest, for both of those teams here, Kick and what is likely Gambit, yes, indeed. Thank you. As we take a look at what exactly they're going to be doing, there's some big routes for teams that did drop towards the southern part of the map. But now also taking a look here at a team that has less of a way to go. That's going to be North over at Runoff. And you have to keep in mind a lot of their success in that Overlook game certainly had to do with their drop. Their standard drop was Overlook in town, and they dropped huge points on that. But since then, been a little bit flat, especially in the last game, picking up 0. So you have to see if this a little bit of a better pull for them and less total distance to travel might work in their favor.
We're just looting up right now. Good calm start to the game. Again, in North America, we saw a lot of fighting early. In Game 2, might have been Game 3, we actually saw some early fighting as well. I think it was Game 3. It was Kick. And it was Luminosity Gaming. Kick actually didn't get a chance to kind of get involved quickly, and they were out. So you would expect that they'd at least try to have a calmer start to this game so they don't get out too soon, get too aggressive too early. Flavor of the Month, a team that has been so consistent in terms of their performance towards these latter parts of the qualifiers to get here. And really had a good game last game as well. They were in the mix with about 6 teams left. And Pierre, one of those players who we highlighted in Poland last year. He's consistently been performing. No longer a part of Virtus Pro, but these guys are still performing at the highest of levels in Europe. And it's a great thing to see here, the consistency and really the longevity of some of the players, the teams, and organizations that have been involved here in Apex.
Definitely, and here's what I was talking about. Kick needs to be careful just because exiting from that map room area, do put yourselves exposed to things like treatment, like Watchtower, and then the repulsor route, so they need to be very careful here as they navigate their exit.
They're just trying to avoid, oh my god, what is coming to them? And the triple take, man, you just don't expect it sometimes, so that thing can hurt, especially if you've got the the precision choke selected on that firing option, and he certainly does. So that is going to hit hard if he's able to find the damage. And this is 25, and you can see they are representatives from Middle East Africa. The last qualifying, I think you mentioned this already, in terms of points, 25 esports. They are definitely putting in the work right there.
Certainly now, as we see teams already converging on containment, there's a few spots we're definitely going to watch out for here. All of Watchtower North, just like that game in the Americas, actually that CLG won on. Expect the Watchtower to be just as packed as that game, as teams like, we saw earlier, a team that had already dropped artillery, that was going to be GSD, actually, who is coming off of a win. They're going to have a slower route, but definitely expect all of Destroyed's Cascades, all those containment buildings, even Hillside Outpost buildings to be grabbed right away. Teams are going to be contending for those, then looking to gatekeep the teams that get there late. One of those could be Nessie, as they are still all the way down at treatment.
Nessie's still trying to fire off. At least they're decently geared. Got a Skull Piercer for the wingman. HCOG, kind of the premier setup as well. Maybe sitting with that level 2 extended. He's not going to trade that. I mean, I know he loves teammates, but not that much, of course. Extended mags are things to fight for sure. Even amongst friends. There's a down, though. Seems like they didn't need it. JMW is going to find it. This is Gamer's Origin. Oh, big time. Knock on to Sirius. What can they do from here? Big shots coming through 2 times on the Bruiser Cog, and he's just going to basically force them, let them know the presence is there. Do not try to get serious, otherwise we will get serious in Bay. Ozenesi just saying, maybe not the time to go back and contest.
Yeah, they're trying to nope out of this. Keep in mind, they are heading towards a river center route that could actually intersect them with a few other teams that we already saw kick, and a few others that were still making their way from kind of river south all the way up on a central route towards containment. That could spell trouble for them later, but not to worry, because we'll go ahead and check out the Watchtower itself to see exactly what's going on here. Third MPAC currently holding height.
Look at this. Golden triple take. He's got the 4 to 10 times digital zoom, and oh boy, it's making an impact for third impact. Tons of damage here up the top. And he even sees one right there, the highlighted in red, thanks to the legendary scope, or at least the rare scope that you'll see that only comes attached to this weapon when you find it as such. One of the beautiful things in Apex Legends is to pick one of these up, and especially a meta sniper when you have the position to snipe. So great stuff from Jazaz, and kind of exactly what they needed here to hold this position.
Yeah, certainly amazing damage, amazing tracking there, of course, as you said, thanks to the DT. But, he's kind of a forest ranger there. The foliage is no match for that triple take, and some great shots out of him. And they're going to hold up, and I think they're going to be pretty comfortable here holding this height. Also, keep in mind, there's no one on level 2 just yet. That's something they're going to be aware of without a doubt. As late game, there are going to be teams that are going to try to hold the bottom as well as that second level of the Watchtower, as it's going to offer a lot of cover. Now, North already here in these containment buildings. You have to imagine, I'm sure we're going to be scrolling through these containment buildings, because there's undoubtedly going to be quite a few teams that have cozied up around this part of the map.
And it's just that battle of how early do you rotate, how much do you have to deal with. You see these snipers, even over on third impact side, they had about, I think, 30 sniper ammo to go. But that, over the course of 3-4 rounds, as it is just round 1 closing, a minute 20 until round 2 begins and 19 squads left, you're going to start running out. So you see the ammo getting swapped. You see everybody kind of preparing. GSD, the winners of last game, and oh boy, I said you dropped this in his tweet, and I posted a picture of a little crown emoji just because Dell absolutely playing like he's the king of this lobby. We'll see if they can have a mirror performance here in Game 4. Certainly, Brav, if they can do that again, that will put them in prime position. Oh! But just as we say it, third impact. Play spoiler to the party.
Going to continue just engaging here. Keep in mind, not a ton of ammo left, and that can't be doing that all game, but certainly some nice shots to just exchange into that artillery tunnel exit to keep that team pinned back, establish a little bit of presence. It's going to be a bit of a tricky rotation from artillery tunnel. If they decide to go very late, they could have several eyes on them, including those Watchtower eyes as well. But back over to the farm. This is going to be Alliance here. We talked about it last game. IPN now on the Revenant, the only Revenant we've seen in this lobby. And to be honest, I believe the only Revenant we've seen across both Americas and EMEA. Of course, a very different comp landscape as we talk about APAC comps and how they've changed since Season 6 versus Americas and EMEA. And even here, what's worth noting, we talked about it in Game 1, but of course we are seeing definitely less crypto, about only 50% of the crypto that we saw in the Americas here for EMEA.
I love it, man. I mean, IPN, what a special player to feel confident enough to play Gibraltar, to play Caustic, to play Revenant. I know guys who are barely confident enough to play one character at a high level like this. IPN rotating through all of them for the team. What a valuable, versatile pickup for this Alliance squad. No wonder they've been so successful. North here didn't go the way they wanted over the last game, but they had some strong movements. And again, they don't have to move much here if this circle ends the way we think it will. Everyone shielded up. This could be the very circle, Brav, that we saw CLG actually claim it.
Absolutely. There's a few circles that this one could pull to. The one that pulled a little bit more towards the river just off of the watchtower, that was the one that we saw yesterday in Game 7 for the Americas. And keep in mind also, GLO Masters did have a containment finish as well, if you remember the way that Rogue ended that one. And actually kind of took the win out from underneath the then MVP, the roster that would become CLG. So it's a big redemption story for CLG in terms of almost the very similar rotation to win that tournament. They made sure to clutch up this time as we do see things pulling even further west. It looks like lots of containment included in there, as well as kind of all the way over to Waterfalls and that ridge. So there's definitely a little bit of a potential for a different play space here in terms of end zone.
And, you know, we finished pretty decently yesterday, and I think most of these teams we're watching, and I think, you know, they say, you know, this is the prime position here. In fact, it's where we saw Liquid, who were so close to finishing off. We felt like this was the best spot to be in that scenario, but it ended up being just a little bit below it. Actually was more of a surprise factor for everyone involved. A little bit of a later jump actually worked. And Third Impact, one of the leaders in this lobby, they definitely have seized the high ground. And you can see, let's see the France. Rob, haven't talked a lot about them in this tournament so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Sid de France, keep in mind, they were a team that we did see within, I believe, the top 7 after game number 1. A big deal considering they came through our LCQ. The most recent super regional placings for them were around 14th and 30th. They are your ex-Chill and ALGS roster. So for them to take first in the LCQ and then come in with a really big game 1 was a pretty big statement. And like I said earlier, it kind of turned the tables, but they've fallen a bit. They're now in 12th with 16 points. To be honest, that's only 5 points away from 8th, as there is a pretty small gap between the middle of the table. So certainly could see some big things from this French squad still, as they're going to continue to cozy up. Like I said, Hillside Outpost still very playable at this stage in the game.
Such a patient lobby, isn't it? 19 squads. Round 2 closing in. I mean, we haven't seen much action. The poke is there aplenty, but no real commitments to the fight. I think these guys know that there's just a lot on the line. It's game 4. There's about 4 or 5 teams now in the mix to cross, potentially match threshold point and reach 50 if they play it right. AHG has been in the conversation today. Now getting a little bit of poke as well, but they find themselves well beyond really that threshold right now. 10 points only. Big game here would matter quite a bit. Kuya on gold. Gotta say they're set up pretty decently, but their positioning has put them in a little bit of an awkward spot.
Here they are now, going to hold this height, getting definitely dinged from several different angles. They're trying to hold this height, but maybe at a challenging stage of the game. 18 cells, though, is going to help him get out of this. We're going to have to see if he can get back to the port, maybe, or instead of porting, just dropping all the way down. Takes a little bit of a geo hit there. Might not have expected to. Pokes out into a sight line, but like I said, lots of cells in the back pocket. That's going to help him fight through this, but now 0-0, just trying to do whatever he can to lay down shots as well. Typically a power position here, Rain, but keep in mind, as you alluded to, we are early in the game, and this is open to a lot of sight lines and cliff faces that are still in.
And you know what the problem is? This isn't going to be where the circle pulls, and that is kind of just a bad call, not just an unlucky call, it seems like. But we'll see. You never quite know, but it just feels like it's going to be more towards containment and not quite here towards the Some Lakes high ground where we see circles of this nature on the side of the map in Kings Canyon so often pull. So they kind of set up pretty early, and now they may pay for it with some really hard rotations out of 2 choke points, essentially. The only way to get out of there. And so we're going to have to wait and follow along with AHG. Luckily, Kuya stays alive. Alliance now following along with Vapes in the drone. Just checking out the action. He's going to recall that bad boy. and they know there's a safe rotation there, even though they have to go through zone.
Absolutely. You see, you know, of course, even on the Crypto Rev meta, you're still seeing just how useful that Crypto Scout is, flying all the way around. They don't need to spend, one thing important you get as well is you don't need to spend the portal on that rotation, etc. Right. Of course, it's still so early in the game. They get so much information off of that Crypto Scout, and then it will still set them up for that Crypto Rev timing push, which is something we saw late in the Super Regionals, and here we are actually going to see that now that Totem is down. We might see that timing push coming in. EMP is not up, by the way. They are doing this without the EMP.
I don't mind it as well. IPN says, hey, I've ulted. Let's make the most of it. Unlimited distance here. You cannot Wraith Portal pretty much into that Revenant ult the same way that you could. There's a bit of a delay on the ability to do it. And look at this. Babes doesn't need the delay. He says, I'm right here with you, baby. Oh, brings out the R301 eBay. Claps him. 25 Esports back to lobby, baby. Alliance with the Revenant push. Clean them all up.
Absolutely. I won't even call it a Crypto Rev push because there was no crypto element aside from the Scout, really. No timing on the Crypto EMP, like we said, just really well executed. And that Revenant Totem's still very much alive, even though we're only seeing really 1 out of 40 teams in our Americas and EMEA lobby using that push, still showing that, of course, it is very viable here. Like you said, a very big change to that Wraith Portal, but still doesn't turn Alliance away. But look at this artillery tunnel action. All sorts of chaos here in the back.
Oh, my God. And could you have a better flatline moment? Unfortunately, a lot of the shots missed. Trying to go for a triple take. It's Karate. I feel like it's Cobra Kai, Apex Legends style. And that's going to be the finish. It's Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. And I believe it was Nasky with the melee to get the kill on that one. But Dell is down. And I think they may have to sacrifice him here. Not sure if a banner. I'm sure actually a banner is going to be able to be grabbed. And if they have a mobile respawn beacon, they can get him back in the action. So there may not be cause to fret just now if you're a GST fan. Back over with Alliance. They're still fighting in the parade, Rob.
Oh man, this was my question, was where's Alliance in all this? Because we know that they had just rotated all the way around to Artillery Tunnel. Now they're finding all sorts of trouble. I think we're going to see them go down in the feed as well. That'll be it. And in the end, Exorcism is a team that steps in and does some damage. And we knew that that Artillery Tunnel exit we talked about, even just watching earlier when we saw Jazz kind of poking and doing so much damage to Artillery Tunnel exit, we knew how highly contested that would be. And just now we saw several teams drop at that southern exit.
And now, honestly, Alliance are sitting pretty in third impact third impact. They know it, and they're trying to push. They want this spot because there's a pretty decent high ground rotation on top of this, and it's better than where they were. They know the respawn is happening. We mentioned it, that they can get him back with a mobile respawn beacon, so Dell is back in the game. Can he get to his box fast enough before this push happens? The EMP from Crypto, it looks like it might be there to deter third impact, and it seems like it's done just that. Batteries needing to fly, and oh, this could be bad because they've gotten taken by LG, and LG and Flavor of the Month also in the kill feed, but it's LG, Sanya, and Rugby who are the ones who are getting in and third partying third impact.
And what can Zeke do here? He has to go all the way TP back to their safe zone and just hope that someone doesn't come through, maybe get some reses here. Of course, no opportunity to defense here, so just going to hope that that res is going to be able to come through and they get back. They tried to make the early rotation there, Rain, and I had to say, even though a lot of teams are wanting to get towards Artillery Tunnel exit, it felt like an early rotation. You could kind of tell by their movement, especially then when the EMP came in, that they were in the open, and a lot of teams with 13 squads left, definitely an early route here, as it looks like Max Stripe just setting up that TP there for the team to scoop right back out, and Sir Dell's going to come out with 50 HP as well. Very, very nicely done.
And you could tell, man, that's hurting. Like, you had to use a path ult. Luckily, that thing is basically every minute and a half that you can get it back. But still, just that zone is hurting. You can't play it right now. Really, you got a second now. It's round 4. These teams so good. 13 squads left, still in round 4. And it's closing. Round 5 is about to be on. Defensive bombardment from Bradze and Disbelief, making sure that he and his team have a safe haven here. 12 seconds, about to run out. And so into the void goes Stanny, and he's just going to go a little bit left and below. Try to see if he can cramp himself into this little hole. And unfortunately, Bradze, seems like they're losing disbelief in the process. Stanny might just stay alive, but he might be the only one. Yes, indeed, he's the only one who can survive this, and he's going to get EMP'd on top of it.
Absolutely, Bradze in 13th right now. They need every point that they can get. They're quite far away from the rest of the pack. We'll see if they can get the points on the board. As we said yesterday, certainly at any point in this tournament, possible for teams to rally back, get themselves into match point position here. North is going to continue holding, maybe Tashina and Mandi together, just holding this height.
Yeah, and they just have this high ground and the Volt. I mean, if you give it headshots, it's game over. Might as well try again. That thing hits so hard and so fast. If you let it headshot, it's just going to be just another nightmare to play against. So people don't have the shielding now. You're already seeing resources start to really come into play. And the generator goes down. How many ultimate accelerant shield bats being tossed over to the Watson? Nasky, Dell, Strafe. Got a little bit of a better vantage point now on both teams here. And, oh, man, maybe all the teams. Look at this spot. Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. After the heroics earlier in the tunnel, they have found themselves a nice little location. But look at that ammo. 5 left in the chamber, 6 in the magazine currently. And so, unfortunately, they're going to run out of that unless they can finish off and claim a little bit of sniper loot.
Lots of LG and Kick in the feed just now. You might have seen Ad Hoc Gaming on the receiving end of a lot of damage. North knows they need to be very careful with and selective with how they're peeking here. You can tell they're playing both sides of this height in terms of being able to peek that low ground, but knowing that shots are also coming in from that northeast as well. Need to be very careful.
RPR no longer in the mix, unfortunately. And North just fighting with 2. Fenerbahce down below, threatening pretty well. The massive shots are actually really doing work for them. They're making a little aggressive move, trying to go into Verace's boxes, but that should give them a little bit of a different vantage point from the top. And I think North may be able to take advantage of it. In fact, they do. They got one down. It's Pinky Finky again. Will Pinky Finky do what we all know he needs to do? Clutch up or get the heck out of there. He says, I'm getting the heck out of here. I can't fight 5 people. And he's definitely not going to be able to pull that one off. 6 squads left from 8. 5 squads left now. Look at the chaos unraveling North. Bonde, he's just going to make it right at the edge, but even he will go down, and that will be in the hands of Kick.
And yeah, LG and GSD still a lot in the feed, but just as fast as I say that, Castagna the last one alive, and it might be the end, and Kick as well. So right now, of those 3 that we just mentioned, GSD without a doubt in the best position.
GSD looking to repeat after Dell's heroics. Can the whole squad stay alive to do it? They were in the prime position. It's Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. We saw the Cobra Kai melee, and they're going to take the portal up. Do a little sci-fi action here as well. Beautiful stuff here from both teams. Strafe goes into the 1v1, but Matey, he shows up big time. Nice wingman shots. Who's going to go and help him? It's Nasky now. Dell living with a prayer and 50 health. And he's got time to shield that. Why not? Play it slow. Matey might be the only one alive here. And they know it. Moving in cautiously. Triple take and a devotion in hand. He's going to rock that. Beautiful little bunny up there on the ropes. Oh, my goodness. But it's JMW. Can he finish this off? It is. Nessie takes down GSD. We have a new champion in Game 4 of the EMEAs, and it's Nessie claiming the day.
That is the X-Triumph squad, and my God, what an ending there. I can't wait to watch that back. Hopefully, maybe we can get it from one or both of the POVs in terms of exactly how that played out with GSD turning that corner. But GSD actually the opening aggressor there against Nessie, and Nessie right away shut that down. They get the first knock, which really dictated how the later events would go. It's a important win for that side, without a doubt, as we take a look at exactly where they were in the table. But in the end, we'll have to see if any teams had enough points. If I take a look across in terms of GSD going to be the team that was the closest at 36 points, we have to see just how much KP they got with that second place in order to send them over. They could be the one that really that's in striking distance, third impact as well. But going to be exciting to see what the scoreboard and the overall standings look like going into this next game.
Totally, bro. I mean, I think Nessie, with 18 points coming into this, as I just checked, this is going to really help them. They're going to be in that 20 to 30 point range, and they're really going to have an opportunity now to, next game, push through to the match threshold. As far as GSD, though, after a big game in Game 3, now Game 4 coming in second place, their vantage point seemed like it was definitely good enough to pick up a lot of thirst, a lot of kills, a lot of downs. So I feel like we could see them with a higher point total than maybe it looked like towards that end. Obviously losing out on that duel. Great acrobatics there all the way through. Couldn't quite finish it. Nessie claims that game. And for more on the action, let's send it back to the desk with Kate and Tom.
Thank you, guys. And yeah, man, we started Game 4 with this, as they said, patient lobby. And boy, was it patient until we got all-out chaos. Tom, bring me through exactly what we just saw today. How did Nessie pull this one out?
Yeah, well, first, Kate, I want to make sure that you know the rules of Cobra Kai. Can you name the first rules of Cobra Kai?
I cannot. I can't do it. Tom, tell me all the rules.
Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Okay,
no, that's the
there's no fear in this dojo, Kate. There's no fear in this dojo.
Oh, Tom, I love you so much. This is This is stellar context for Apex Legends, Tom. I don't even know where to go from there. Let's talk Nessie.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
Nessie surprisingly took advantage of GSD's overconfidence there. So
Yeah.
they got a little bit split up on the GSD side. I think that they already knew that they had the points most likely. So when we go and look at this, I wouldn't be surprised if GSD had already secured those points, or maybe they got a little too excited and they really wanted to Cobra Kai and strike first and take no mercy. So we'll see what happens when we go and look at those points. But I have a feeling that GSD just got a little overconfident in that fight, ended up pushing Nessie, thinking maybe they were split or thinking that they were weaker than they actually were. And it was just a great job. Nessie coming out, hitting the shots that they needed. It was not an easy fight. You saw how useful that zip line was. They were able to just kind of bounce around, strafe off of that one, and ended up taking the win there. There's much needed points here because we will possibly be seeing 1 to 2 teams now at match point.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at those Game 4 results and see if we can do some quick math and then into our overall. Let's see. Game 4, once again, Tom, I'm telling you right now, I mean, Nasky, Strafe, and Dell bringing in the 8, LG bringing in the 9, but no double digits again. This is a real telling Game 4.
Yeah, so GSD going into Game 5 is going to be the only team that is going to be on match point. We see North, they're just short. They needed 9 points. They did not get that total. So they're going to have one more game under their belt, and they're going to be the next closest most likely. So a very nice job by GSD setting themselves up for success. How did they do that? They did it with a strong Kings Canyon performance, Kate.
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw 2 Kings Canyon, but then again, here we go. Tossing them back into World's Edge. We'll see how they do. This is definitely one of those moments that Nasky, Strafe, and Dell, they're the storybook team. We love them to death. Well, they're all over social. They're definitely a fan favorite. And now they have the ultimate benefit right now. Right now, if they're a match point, which it looks like they are, we think. I'm not going to say anything until the overall standings are there. But if that is the case, they have the ultimate momentum going into this Game 5. Holy gosh. In fact, let's see it. Overall stats. Tom, talk to me.
Yeah, let's see who's close to GSD. I think that's the thing is watch out for North. They're right on the cusp. And it's Nessie sneaking in, but there it is too. Look at the other teams right behind that. You have LG that's super close. Gambit that's super close. Alliance, Third Impact Black, Kick. And then major pushers, Flavor of the Month. I'd say they're within striking distance. It's not too bad. It's not far-fetched, but you gotta gatekeep. You gotta watch out for GSD right now. And if you're GSD, you have to know that's gonna happen to you. So what do you do here? I would say play low key. I would say take your time, get into good positions, find yourself in this end circle, and then strike first. Strike hard, no mercy.
Words to live by, Tom. That is to be sure. Well, and this is going to definitely be, this could be Nasky, Strafe, and Dell's moment. This could be their game. This could be Game 5 for them in more ways than one. We haven't seen a match. We haven't seen a win on Game 5 in all of our tournaments, both APAC South, APAC North, APAC North. It's like Thresher. There's a lot of words going on in my mind today. But at any rate, we've seen an APAC North, APAC South, our Americas, none of those areas, none of those regions had anybody winning before Game 6. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how we do here. At this point, I mean, Tom, it's hard to talk about sometimes because there's just so many elements to this game, to this tournament that you have to think about. Not only are we new into season 6, of course, which comes with its own changes in the meta and the new addition of Rampart amongst other things, nerfs, buffs, but now it's like, now we're coming into a new map here, back to our original map here, and there's just so much that could happen.
Yeah, and every game that goes by, we have to look at the potential of teams being on match points doubling. So we're looking at one team right now, that's GSD. I think after this game, we're for sure going to have North. And then as we go into Game 6, we're looking at possibly 4 teams, 5 teams. And then we go into the next game, we're looking at possibly 8 teams being on a match point. And that's what's so crazy about this format. And that's why GSD has to take this advantage going forward now. And they have to use it, try to pull it off here. You want to do something similar that CLG did in the North America area, where you don't want to give other top teams the chance to go and get there. You don't want these alliances, Gambits, to go and show up and be on match point and have the opportunity to win that. You want to take that away from them, take that opportunity, and go and grab the bull by the horns and try to win this thing.
And exactly right, Tom. I'll say this, Complexity from our Americas region, they came in second, even though they had 80-something points. They were also the top of our leaderboards for the longest time. They were the first to make match point, but then CLG comes in, and you know what? You're absolutely right. GSD is definitely in that position that could potentially be the best, or maybe not the best. So we'll see what happens here, but let's take a look at that final moment and see exactly how they brought it out, how Nessie, our former Triumph team, became our final circle champs for Game 4.
Yeah, it started off by getting the knock onto Strafey, so the fact that Strafey ends up going down, you don't know how many players are sitting inside of this building. The fact that you feel like they're camping inside there makes it feel like you're weak. Right? Maybe they only have 2 players. Maybe they're getting a res, whatever it is. So GSD feels like they can go and charge that. They know that they're confident. But here's the thing, Kate. They wouldn't make that play as aggressively if they knew they didn't already have the points secured. They had the 8 kill points. They already knew that they were top 2. That's going to be over 50. So they tried to go and just ego their way in there, play extra aggressive, play extra confident, and it just didn't work out for them. On the other end, though, Nessie's going to take those points gladly, get the 12 placement points, get those kills on the board, and see what you can do now. And they're in striking distance in terms of being able to get on a match point going into game number 5. And now we're off Kings Canyon, going into World's Edge. We saw it North coming out strong on World's Edge. We saw GSD coming out strong on Kings Canyon. Is that a coincidence? I'm not sure. I'm looking forward to seeing how these games unfold so we could find out what the case is.
Well, and one of the things that Super Regionals and Finals here, playoffs, will showcase are those teams that are good and dominating on both maps. And that is definitely something that can help you find your way through this nightmare of a lobby, which is just so much fun for the rest of us to watch. Hey, listen, speaking of watching, if you would like to watch us, we are on everywhere. If you go to twitch.tv/playapex, we are there. Give us a free follow. We're certainly happy to have you. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/playapexcompete. And hit us up on the Twitters @playapex. Remember, if you are featured on our show, we'll give you 1,000 Apex coins. But in order to be featured, you got to follow us @playapex and use the hashtag ALGS. So here's the deal. We are getting back into gameplay. Any last final thoughts, my friend?
No, I'm excited. We have 1 team on match point. Again, it's going to be much more intense once we start seeing more teams out there. It's GSD's opportunity to try to close this out and become the Summer Circuit champions.
There it is. Well, that elusive next game, our Game 5, coming right around the corner with Fallout and Bravo. But first, take this look.
Lenovo Legion offers gaming PCs that are stylish on the outside and savage on the inside. Lenovo Legion is the official PC and monitor of Apex Legends Global Series.
Battle with a machine that's as savage as you are. Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
Match point is among us. This could be our potential very last game, and Nasky Strafey Adele can ride into the sunset with a victory, potentially. Bravo. I'm Fallout, joined alongside one of the best color commentators in Apex. It is Bravo, and Bravo, I got to ask you, do you think they're going to do it?
Who do I think they're going to do it? If I have to place the bet, I'm going to say no. I'd love to see them do it here. I think they're playing in a way that it's absolutely going to set them up to be capable. This is no means a knock on how they're playing. I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing, without a doubt. However, in terms of the odds and the statistics and the factors that go into a competitive Apex game, it's tough to call it right here that they're going to do it. Once again, the competition is so tight in Europe that it's likely that we could see this game go in the distance. Of course, it's getting into the late afternoon, evening hours in Europe, of course, but for us here in the Americas, we're just getting the day started. So I think I speak for us as well as the players, where we're ready to go the distance if we need to. However, I do see them ready to send it here. You saw some of the tweets coming out from the players. They're hyped. They know they're on match point. They're the only team on match point. So we might see them, just like we saw yesterday, we might see them slow it down, play super conservative, and go for that big dub. And if they do it, they can close out the tournament right here, which would be pretty wild.
Yeah, and you're, of course, as a color commentator, have to follow your brain there. I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to say they're going to do it. I feel good about a potential record-setting Game 5 win from Nasky Strafey and Dell. Keep in mind here, we are going back to World's Edge, as you see on screen right now. 2 games of World's Edge, 2 games of Kings Canyon, followed by 2 more of World's Edge, and so on and so forth. And we know Nasky Strafey and Dell are incredibly good on World's Edge. They're confident on World's Edge. This is the map in which they won 2 championships across the online tournament series and, of course, our summer circuit series this past summer. I feel good about a potential crazy finish here. Obviously, it is unlikely, and I think overall you're making the right call. But anything's clear. We know they like to drop Fragment West. We'll keep a close eye on Nasky, Strafey, and Dell to see if they will drop Fragment. It's kind of center map. They get a quick beacon with their Pathfinder, and they rotate early. If they can get themselves in a good late game position, if they can correctly guess where the last ring is going to be, I think Nasky, Strafey, and Dell can make history here.
And one thing we got to point out, big shout out to, of course, to all of our EA competitive gaming folks in the back, Guap, Mark Snyder, Gosayami, John Nelson, Zach, as well as so many of the folks that are driving this tournament here from a stats perspective, as well as partners that are assisting. We have some excellent stats that are being fed to us. One of the biggest things I want to highlight is the fact that Nasky, Strafey, and Dell are on 36 placement points. The next closest is 29 from North, so they're not playing kill-heavy games here. Don't get me wrong, they still have 17 kill points on the board, but that's far from the first place or even second place in terms of kills. They have 36 placement points. They've played placement heavy so far in this playoff. Look for them to continue to do the same thing here. It's not crazy to think, based off of the way they're playing, they could close it out. It's not going to be easy, though, of course. And like T-Squared and so many others have alluded to throughout the day, they now have the big target on their back. This is not a lobby where there's 4 teams on match point and teams are peripherally aware of who's there. As soon as someone sees GSD and is able to find, maybe spot a knock in a chaotic battle, etc., if they get the knock themselves, they're going to be able to push this. They know that everyone's tournament hopes are on the line. If GSD is anywhere near that final 5, it'll be a big threat to the whole lobby. So as they get ready for their fragment rotation, expect lots of guns to be on them, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We saw it happen in the Americas with Complexity being the first team to reach match point. They got griefed so incredibly hard, but here's a little bit of a difference. Complexity rocks the Bloodhound team comp, so they're scanning every 10-15 seconds as Bloodhound. They're basically saying, hey, we're Complexity. Come kill us and avoid us winning this game. Nasky, Strafey, and Dell are running a Pathfinder comp that's a little bit more discreet. Of course, they do drop Fragment. My question was, is their team going to drop Fragment on top of them and try to grief them? And the answer is no. They got Fragment East entirely for free, and as a result of that, here comes the Nasky, Strafey, and Dell special. Early rotation, quick loot, and they are already flying to this next ring. So far, so good, if you're a GSD fan, for them to be able to come out. In their last tournament as a team, by the way, because Strafey did get signed by Navi, this is the last time they'll be playing as a 3-man unit. Will they end up on top? Will they make history with a Game 5 win? Which is crazy to think, Bravo, because it was Game 7 in APAC North, Game 7 in the Americas, Game 6 in APAC South. Can GSD do it in 5 games?
That is the question as they make this Western rotation. Of course, keep in mind, North has been in the 40s now, 2 games back-to-back, unable to get on match point. A heartbreaking past 2 games for them after leading, remember, 41 to the next closest was 28. They had that match point in the bag with a pretty consistent performance, unable to do it so far. They still sit 3 points away from match point. The next closest, there's a bit of a gap. We range from Nessie all the way down to third impact, and 3rd through 7th is just 39 through 36. So we want to start to paint this picture now for what these players are thinking about. Keep in mind, GSD and North know that there is an entire pack of 6 of the best teams in Europe that are ready to get on match point just after them. So really, this is the time for GSD. Soon it will be the time for North, assuming they have any sort of standard performance in this game. But just like we talked about in the other regions, you need to do this fast, because if not, the rest of the lobby, some of the best teams in the world, are right at your heels.
That's exactly right. Great job kind of setting up the storylines. The stage is certainly set. And jumping into gameplay here, I'll talk about what I just saw on screen. Nasky, Strafey, and Dell, yes, they make that early rotation that they're known for. TSM kind of perfected it. Nasky and Strafey and Dell followed it and perfected it to a T. And they actually are going to be smart. They're going to go all the way north and avoid center circle, avoid mid-map where they can get third party. They make the wide right and north rotation to circle. That's a brilliant decision. Not only that, they actually found a team, and you saw the pings come through. They wanted to try and catch that odd man out. Instead, you hear Nasky probably making the comms, hey, it's not worth it. We don't want to risk getting taken out in this team fight. They wisely decide to cut left towards Skyhook and make the rotation instead. Brilliant decisions coming through so far from Nasky, Strafey, and Dell. We'll keep a close eye on them as they are on match point in this brilliant match point format. But currently, we're going to jump on board with Major Pushers. Yeah, taking a look here at Countdown to see what Major Pushers is up to. I believe we did see that first knock coming in. If I'm not mistaken, it was either a Lava City Boys or a Fenerbahce in the feed that we did see. So we'll keep a very close eye on here. Of course, Countdown going to be a pretty big part of these rotations, as you already see. Like, for example, GSD taking that North Tunnel route and getting all the way up into that North Station, which is going to give them a lot of opportunities. But now Kick is not too far away towards the Lava Fisher side. That's exactly right. On board with Kick. Formerly SJP2. We, of course, had Nessie win last game. That's a former Triumph. A couple team names that you might be familiar with if you've been watching the European region for quite some time. It has been amazing casting the European region for the last 9 months now and getting to kind of keep up with these teams, these rosters, so much competition. And, I kind of alluded to it, and T-Square brought up a great point and kind of added on top of it. This region is so competitive. Unlike some other regions like APAC South, like the Americas, Europe is not as top-heavy. There's such an even spread of teams that can pop off at any given moment, whether it's Gambit, Alliance, Nasky, Strafey, and Dell, North. So many teams have won championships. It is so evenly spread across top teams. The Americas is kind of finally caught up, as it was TSM really dominating the first half of the season, the preseason. But really, in Europe, it has been an even spread of teams ever since, as we're going to jump back on board with Nasky, Strafey, and Dell here. Yeah, they're actually just poking into trials to see what might be happening up here, not too far away at Uncharted Territories. You did see Ad Hoc Gaming holding that top drill, and we'll keep an eye on just in terms of where they go as well, because keep in mind, in Uncharted Territories, there's a lot of room for them to move and eventually gatekeep. I not crazy to think that those two teams could find one another within these next few minutes here. Major Pusher still hanging out at the bottom left part of Countdown as well, just looking at that sight line to see if anyone might push in. Going to have some opportunities to maybe loot up as well. Yeah, it's going to be 25 Esports, one of our LCQ teams, last chance qualifier teams getting eliminated here. So unfortunate for them. They will be taken out of this one. Not looking great for their situation. Meanwhile, North, another team we got to keep a close eye on. Bravo talked about it. 47 points. They're kind of like Sentinels from America or EXO from APAC South. If you've been with us for each and every broadcast, big shout out to people like Birdie who have been. But of course, North is devastated by the fact that they haven't reached match point yet, despite being so incredibly close. However, this game, this story is all about Nasky, Strafey, and Dell, who are on match point. And I want to go ahead and jump into an early listen in with GSD just to kind of get a feel of their comms. What are the comms like? Is there now a match point? Let's listen in.
Yo, I'm gonna play on the other side alone and just key back if I get pressured. Just watch for someone dropping on us.
And they just knocked somebody. I mean, Kick just knocked somebody from above.
You have Scout, Strafey?
No.
What's your weapons?
I have R301. And
you want Scout instead of R3?
And Eva, yeah.
You have anything scope on it?
Nope.
What, take this?
No, I have side. I don't have for you. Yep.
Nice.
Does it already looted tryouts?
Yeah.
Is it looted?
I don't know. But we shouldn't do it because they'll shoot down on us.
And there you have it. The listening. There you have the listening coming in from Nasky, Strafey, and Dell. I want to just get a quick sense of their comms. And Bravo, it seems like calm, cool, and collected. And overall, I love their decision to go trials. They're predicting a northwest ring pull, and I think they're going to be right here, Bravo. This is prime conditions for GSD to close this out with a match point. Certainly, of course, you hear them emphasizing exactly which players from Kick, what was happening in terms of the knocks and things like that, keeping a very close eye on kill feed without a doubt. Interesting mix, of course, on that team, as is the case with many of our EMEA teams. 3 different nations represented there. Of course, Strafey representing the Ukrainian side, Sir Dell from Great Britain, the UK, as well as Nasky, the Danish player. So excited to see what they might be able to do here. They know that this is their time, and like you said, they sound calm, cool, and collected and ready to show up in this game. They have the placement points on the board. They just need to continue playing their game here in what could be our final game in Game 5. Yeah, and I love, Bravo, that we just got a look, actually, courtesy of Kick Esports, at where the next ring is pulling. And guess what? It is pulling trials. A quick little lesson for any aspiring Apex players here. There's an algorithm and a little bit of a pattern that you can predict of where the ring is going to pull in Apex, where ring 3, ring 4, ring 5 may be. And it typically tends to pull in the same direction that it originally pulled. So what do I mean by that? If it pulls northwest, that ring will continue to generally pull northwest. That's why Nasky, Strafey, and Dell decided to go trials, because they recognize this ring's going to keep going northwest, and looks like they are right. A genius shot call coming through from GSD. And you got to think they are primed and ready for a match point victory, making history, and again, riding off into the sunset, their last tournament as a roster. Again, I get borderline emotional having casted this GSD squad who really worked their way up the ranks as an amateur team starting off. You know, Nasky was in Poland, got maybe top 20, top 30, top 50, and now is a top pro player, a staple in this tournament. I remember sitting next to him in the bus in Poland a year ago, and he looked at all these pro players with big eyes. He wanted to be a pro player one day. He worked hard. He found great teammates in Strafey and Dell, and he officially has a chance to be the best player in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region now. It's amazing to see.
And not surprisingly, a lot of teams posting up just on these outer cliffs outside of Trials. Kick, North, as well as AHG, all included in that conversation. And you have to think that eventually there's going to be information about who is inside Trials and some potentially very interesting strats. Maybe some crypto usage there is going to give a little bit of that info faster than it normally would in terms of finding out that it is indeed Nasky, Strafey, and Dell who are inside Trials. North is holding height, though. That, of course, is going to give them a lot of opportunities to gatekeep this entire area, and if they want and need to drop into Trials as well. Of course, unsurprisingly, GSD just going to hold doors and hold this down and see exactly where these next pulls go.
I'm going to point out here that I'm noticing in this setup, this reminds me a lot of, I think it was game 5 of the Americas region, where Complexity kind of got caught, lower countdown, and Rogue ended up winning the game. Well, Nasky, Strafey, and Dell were in the same exact position as TSM was in that game. We always draw comparisons to GSD and TSM. They both drop Fragment, they both play Pathfinder, they both rotate early. Well, they're in the same exact position, and important to note, in that game, the ring pulled out instead to where AHG is, Ad Hoc Gaming. So we'll see what happens here, what the fate is for GSD, and if they will be in the same fate as TSM, or does GSD have that it factor? Can they close it out? As we're currently on board Les Cités France, who of course is our last chance qualifying dominating team.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Rain Day, of course, keeping an eye on that, and also keeping an eye on multiple screens here as we watch this game, of course, when we're the casters that are out of the rotation, of course, intently watching several other POVs as well as these games go through. So much action to watch here in the playoffs without a date. But like you said, Cités de France just holding this edge, and they do find teams still playing in the ring there, still in Skyhook.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That could be dangerous for whichever team is sitting within ring right now. Keep on, it is ring 3, so they're going to take a bit of damage. And it's going to be Gambit. That is potentially costly here, Bravo, as Gambit's one of our teams within knocking distance of being at match point here. Gambit drops Sorting Factory, so that explains their wide north rotation, and that's why they're so late on this rotation. They, of course, weren't able to get to the northwest side as fast as they would have wanted to, coming from the southeast side of the map.
Yeah, certainly. Gambit, a team, like we said, coming in with, without a doubt, the strongest performance going into playoffs across just about any region. First, fourth, second, third in their super regionals, and it's just going to be Artika who's going to have to pull out something amazing here and just going to spend as many heals as he's able to, but still being gatekept by Cités de France, who's just going to hold this ring edge. And it's tough for Gambit because, like you said, they were at 37 coming into this game. They needed just a 13-point game to get across the threshold. Right now, that looks like it's going to be something that they can only pray for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And actually, look, it's going to be North. I believe that's going to actually get a knock on a member of Les Cités de France right now. So it's a crazy fight going on in Skyhook. Gambit, of course, is hiding in the ring as it currently stands. We're going to jump on board with Lazarus, one of our teams that made it into the top 3 2 games ago on Kings Canyon. We'll see what Lazarus can do here. Not looking good for as Jay Savage is currently knocked. His 2 teammates, Amaze and Sharp, are still alive. Former members of that Myth roster that we know dominated early on in the online tournaments. One of our most consistent players, or teams, early on. Myth, of course, merged with Lazarus, with his Lazarus squad. They're going to get the revive off, and it looks like that caustic meta will help them out. We'll buy them an opportunity here if it can, but it looks like Major Pushers is nearby.
Yeah, this is an area we're definitely going to be focusing on just because the areas of Countdown, Fisher, etc. heading into Skyhook are going to be a little bit crazier than the areas that we saw around the Trials Cliffs, just because this is going to be a big contention point, a big choke point, and this is where I expect the bulk of the action to happen in these next few minutes. As this thins out, we'll then see things start to pull a little bit more towards Trials and Cypress Ridge.
Exactly right. Branch is currently down. Cleave is up. Revive's going to come through. They should be clear. And I think it was Major Pushers who was just knocking on the door right there of Lazarus. But again, Caustic was the difference maker for Lazarus that kept him alive. No team could push, obviously, with Caustic canisters everywhere. So wise decision from Lazarus, kind of playing tight angles with Caustic to stay alive. Meanwhile, speaking of Caustic, our other Caustic team, it's going to be Major Pushers, They're currently in the same exact position than they were at the early game when we checked them out. Meanwhile, it looks like Liogri is eliminated. That's going to be it. Gambit is the second team out. So 2 games in a row here, Bravo. They get eliminated, and they get 0 points. That is costly for Gambit, who's at 37 points still.
One thing we got to talk about here, like we said, North is the biggest threat right now to the GSD win, and you could say that North is in the strongest position to keep this lobby alive. Do want to go to a listen in here to hear how their comms sound as they're sitting on height above GSD.
My whole head. 49.
PK.
43.
PK, PogChamp. Manda, you want that PK?
Yes, later.
Okay. I need that scope. Wait, who picked that? Yeah, there. Me, it's on the drop. Got it. Mandy and me gonna farm damage here. Kills. Yeah, people here in the open field. Watch out zipline, okay? Watch the GB, Mandy. Watch the GB. Cracked.
Not.
Nice. Pop. I need to reload.
I need to reload too. I can't finish.
I'm trying to finish. No, the fucking building.
42. 44. I really, dude. Be ready with the port. I'm getting a kill here.
Oh shit.
Okay, be ready with the port.
Yeah. I'm ready. Tashin, you gotta watch back, dude. I'm watching back. Oh, fine.
They TP'd him up. They TP'd him up. I'm fucking coming back.
Okay,
dude.
come back.
Yeah, fuck that shit, dude.
We're good. We got our points now. We have 2 kills and we're top 14. We are match point now. Now let's just win.
Watch kill feed.
Win.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, we need to win so Gnaski and those guys can't win. It's literally we have to.
And we get a lead also.
Yeah, we get a massive
lead matters, but
juicer.
At least top 2, you know? At least top 2, man.
Wait, no, we're going for number 1, but...
No, of course we go, bro.
We're securing a top 2, dude.
We need to try. How much bullets do you have?
45, you want some? I give you.
How much do you have for your juice? Dude, how much do you, what scope do you have, I mean?
2 to 4.
Okay.
I dropped you a PK on the ground, brother.
Yeah, I see.
There, juice him up.
Okay.
60.
Look at that guy. I'm gonna move so I don't block you.
I might get a kill here.
Oh yeah?
I need you, Mandy.
I'm with you, baby.
Wait,
I cracked him.
I can't look everywhere, dude.
Okay,
just look skyhook side, man. You're fine.
Yeah, sorry.
I almost got a kill here.
I'm coming to you.
Oh, you go.
Wait,
you go.
here. I have sniper.
He's so low. What's that so low here? I hit her like 20 flash.
On jaw.
Oh yeah, don't have.
Oh
don't
yeah.
There's a Gibby here, I think. I didn't see the Gibby move yet.
Okay.
Yo, if you guys charge your evos to red, you should maybe get me an evo to red as well.
3 kills.
I'm coming.
Okay. Crack that!
Nice! It's Gambit as well. Alliance is dead. Gambit's dead.
3 kills.
Yeah.
Half on the crack.
OS dead.
He got knocked.
Ness is dying.
They're dead. All these guys on the side. They can still crawl up here on our side.
Look at the zone, we're above.
We're staying above.
We're in this. TI is dead as well.
Look,
where's
this
GSD?
Yeah, I see him.
What a brilliant listen-in right there. One, because it's hilarious. It's actually comedy every time we jump into a listen-in with North, and then you wonder why they have one of the largest fan bases in Twitch chat and in general. But look at this finish, Bravo. You heard them say, we have to find GSD. Are they out? Alliance is out. Gambit is out. Where's GSD? We can't let them win. And then, of course, they said, no, screw it. We're going for first place. But GSD is so perfectly positioned. The decision and the shot call to rotate to trials early may secure the win for Nasky, Strafe, and Dell.
Yeah, keep in mind, AHG is still alive just on that outer exit of trials as well. Got to echo you. Amazing listen in there with the north side. It's also the first time I've heard I'm with you, baby, in a listen in, which is pretty fantastic as well. Love what I'm hearing from that side in terms of North. But North is very aware of what's going on below them. That GSD is the team that's looking to steal this tournament. You have to believe that every team has kept a very close eye on that kill feed. They have not seen GSD in there, and they know that they are still alive within the ring. North might be the only team that knows exactly where they are. And to be honest, I don't even know if we heard in comms that they knew that they were directly, that GSD was the team that was in trial just because of how early GSD did rotate in. Expect GSD to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're just getting a quick glance at GSD. Not a lot going on here in Trials as they were smart. They rotated there early, and I don't know if anyone in the lobby knows that GSD is the team that's there. Because keep in mind, they dropped Fragment. So a lot of people are probably going to assume teams that drop Northwest probably have Trials. It probably isn't GSD, but guess what? GSD is too good. They're too smart. They rotated there too quick, and now they're in a good position with 5 squads remaining to make history, to have the fastest match point victory in 5 games in the history of Apex. This beautiful match point format is so incredibly hyped, and GSD has the chance to make history here, but North is trying to shut it down.
This is going to get so interesting how North plays this. This is such a unique scenario. We are so lucky to have GSD inside low Trials, all these teams fighting outside, and North being the big hope. How North plays this could be a huge determining factor of if this tournament ends right here and right now.
He just Kobe'd the hell out of that grenade. It's going to connect for 200 damage almost. Beautiful bank nade coming through from Nasky. Looking like Kobe in the 2000s. Beautiful grenade. They're not going to follow up on that damage, but that damage will help them continually level up their Evo shield. That is important, as that might be the difference here. They're not going to have 125 Evo. And it looks like this North is actually going to drop on them. They are pushing GSD. They may know. They may have the intel that GSD is right below them. All eyes on Strafey.
Take a look at this. North does decide to drop just as GSD was fighting. North sees that they're fighting on that western angle outside the door. They take the opportunity to use that to drop, and now holding Trials themselves. This is a little bit better for the rest of the lobby. Now you finally have GSD instead kind of trapped on this low ground, and now GSD actually going to be the team that makes the move outside.
And GSD wants to control their own fate. It looks like the Evo shield swap is going to come through for Strafey. Good opportunity here. GSD says, hey, we are winning this game ourselves by taking out every single member of Ad Hoc Gaming. Lucky for them, there was only 2 members alive. Now, GSD getting hunted. 2 squads remain. It comes down to this. North versus Nasty, Strafey, and Dell for the win.
I cannot believe that it came down to this fashion here. Big reset moment here for GSD. No pushes coming in. They're going to get their Phoenixes off. All these heals are going to come through. Medkit for Nasky as well. Just like that, it's a 3v3. You could not write a better story here. GSD in position to win this tournament. It's a straight 3v3. North versus Nasky, Strafey, and Dell.
That's exactly right. And look at this. North playing off their back foot. They might be banking on a heal-off. No. This game is going to end in a heal-off. You can hardly believe what we're seeing. It's going to come down to whoever has the better heals, whoever can survive. North said, we don't want this smoke. They played on their back foot. They backed off, and they left it to the Apex gods. This will never happen again in Apex history. I can guarantee it. A heal-off for the victory between North and GSD.
And this is a screenshot of a ring that you might expect to see on Twitter after scrim results. So there's not a lot of playable area here at all to play with. And you called it perfectly, Fallout. GSD putting their fate in their own hands. North, in the end, despite dropping into Trials, not finding themselves a way out and pushing that issue, and instead risking it up to a heal-off, which is wild. You have to think in terms of a coin flip here in Apex Legends. It likely would have been better decision to push on that as GSD was pushing outside. Might have been a better opportunity. Preport does go down for RPR. They're going to set that portal. They're going to maybe be ready to fly through here. This is wild.
And so actually North is going to play aggressive here. They're going to let one person stay for the heal off, and they're going to send the other 2 flying, and that's it! Nasky, Strafey, and Dell do it! They are your champions of the EMEA Super Regionals in the Summer Circuit. You can hardly believe it. They played perfect in their last tournament as a team, in their last opportunity to cement their legacy just before Strafey goes to the Navi organization. Congratulations to Nasky, Strafey, and Dell on making history, on doing it in 5 games. One of the best teams to have ever played Apex Legends. Nasky, Strafey, and Dell does it.
I cannot believe what we just saw. I think I'm speechless. I'm sure viewers at home likely are as well. And the rest of the EMEA lobby, let me tell you, similar to the Americas, but even more so is speechless because that tournament was just ripped out from under them. Just like that, they do it in a record-breaking 5 games. Nasky, Strafey, and Dell are going to go ahead and take the entire tournament there. That was their first game on match point. And I think also for the first time in history of Fallout, they're the first team ever to win as the only team on match point in the end. And I cannot believe that North played that the way they did. GSD, like you said, controlled their own fate. They got outside. They forced that issue. And in the end, North did not want it to come to a heal-off. RPR instead tries to fly out and make a Hail Mary portal play. It doesn't work out, and it seems like due to their rotations, the match is just handed to GSD. They got where they needed to be. They played that perfectly, and they let the match fall apart around them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the thing. GSD was so ready. They had all the Watson fences up. They had the Arc Star propped. And just like that, GSD got what was probably the easiest 3 versus 3 win they could have gotten. And again, the way that they did it, Bravo, you hit the nail on the head. And we've been talking about it a lot. They controlled their own fate. They could have easily played scared. They could have played not to lose. Instead, they played to win. They pushed Ad Hoc Gaming. They got 3 Evo shields. And then North had a chance to take the fight. North had a clean 3 versus 3 fight. They got scared, backed up back inside trials, and then realized, wait, that probably wasn't the best decision, and tried to make up for their mistake. But unfortunately, it was too little too late, and they came out with the loss. And I wonder, Bravo, what would have happened if that heal-off came? I feel like the extra part of that radius went to North. North had more space to breathe there. I know Nasky, Strafey, and Dell did have the Pathfinder zipline, which could have gotten them high ground on that mountain and maybe bought them some time if they would have found maybe a ledge to heal off of. But I think North would have won that heal off, Bravo.
I mean, I think North, North had only so much information about how many teams were around them, how many teams were low, et cetera, and whether or not it was GSD that was directly below them. Without maybe realizing all of that, of course, we as observers, as viewers, as casters, we have all of the information. How North played that truly determined how that tournament was going to play out. Now, GSD did make the big move to get out, but you have to think if North instead tried to swing around and maybe drop down on AHG to win that battle outside, to then hold outside, that was an opportunity as well. In the end, they do force AHG into that pinpoint position, and thinking they had sandwiched that quite well. Surprising to see them not make the move. You saw how long there was full Phoenix being popped outside by the side of GSD. They had to take time to reset. We saw Phoenix's medkits, big heals that were coming in. There was an opportunity for North to time that. In the end, though, AHG just times their pushes so perfectly back and forth, and they really controlled and dictated the end of that game and left North completely handcuffed in a way where they had to set a portal that they never would have wanted to set in an end circle. I think that also neither of the teams would have expected. And really, in the end, what an event there to have North up top, and they make the right play to drop. In the end, though, I think GSD, they earned it with their early rotate. As you mentioned, they're a fragment team. They made big, early, fast rotate all the way across Epicenter, up Skyhook North, through the station, down into Trials. It was not a linear route. It was a perfect one that was taken, and they absolutely earned that win. And talk about teams like CLG and GSD even more so, striking when the iron is hot. This shows the talent of these teams. We're not going 11 games in a match point format anymore. We're getting, as soon as a few teams are on match point, one of these teams clutches up, and GSD does it in I'd say the most beautiful fashion possible. The only team that can win, and on their first opportunity, they do it. It's remarkable.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we could talk about the gameplay. We could dissect it till we're blue in the face, but let's just take a step back to talk about what matters the most: the story, the history, and the legacy of this Nasky, Strafey, and Dell organization. Top tier orgs, are you awake yet? GSD is the best team in Europe, hands down, bar none. They, of course, are losing Strafey, but you better wake up. You better sign this team, because officially, Nasky, Strafey, and Dell, I believe, are the most winningest team in the recent modern era, post preseason, of course, in Apex Legends in Europe. They have won 3 championships. That's right. 1 in online tournaments, 1 in the Summer Circuit Super Regionals, and now they are the champions of the Summer Circuit Playoffs. What a showing. What a legacy. What a dynasty here for this Nasky, Strafey, and Dell squad. The question is now, Bravo, we're going to transition this discussion for the next few weeks. Who are they going to pick up to fill this massive void that the Ukrainian Strafey leaves in going to Na'Vi? And was that the right decision by Na'Vi? Should Na'Vi just pick up this Nasky, Strafey, and Dell team instead is the big question. As Navi's underperformed consistently, Nasky, Strafey, and Dell has dominated for the last six months, Bravo.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny just how well they've played, and also just their shot calling at the end. And they didn't panic. As soon as they were instead trapped in that doorway, they were the sandwich in that situation. They took a lot of thermite damage as well. They had to reset not once but twice in the end to close out that game. And I'm just really impressed. And I can't wait to go back and watch the VOD there just to see how those exact moments played out. And I think North is also going to go back and wonder, in one of those opportunities, should they have pushed? Now, keep in mind, we did not see the North side. Maybe there was a bit of burning going on there. Maybe there was some damage that made
made it so that the push really didn't make sense. But in the end, certainly both teams going to be looking back at that play, certainly with different perspectives on exactly how it played out. But I just am so impressed with the fact that GSD is able to step up. You had asked me before the game, do I think they could do it? And of course I said they're a team that's capable of, but think about what has to happen. And even with that big wide rotation that they pull it off, that's the type of thing. We said it yesterday about CLG. If they don't win there's a very strong likelihood that they don't win this tournament, just because how Apex games go in a 20-team battle royale lobby. But to step up when it matters most and to strike like that, with that, I mean, you had Kick, Ad Hoc Gaming, North all in that final circle, and to win in the way that they did, and to be just a team that makes that push. They did not let them get themselves stuck inside. They didn't force the North battle. Instead, they play the man advantage, and then in the end, simply due to rotations, win the game. Seriously, a very impressive stuff. And I think once again, it's a similar story to the Americas. We're kind of cut short. These tournaments are ending so fast because these teams are so talented and stepping up when they need to. Yeah, that's exactly right. And great gameplay. And you said it in the pregame, you said it is so statistically unlikely for Nasky, Strafey, and Dell to do it. And guess what? They still persevered. They still managed to do it in the most unlikely way, in the most impossible way, in the most difficult way that, again, we will likely never see again in the history of Apex, potentially. Nasky, Strafey, and Dell are your champions. They did it the right way. They were as stylish as it gets about their approach, always positive on Twitter, working hard, improving every tournament, and they were as savage as it gets in their gameplay with such aggression. Speaking of stylish, speaking of savage, let's give a big thank you to Lenovo Legion, our premier partner for the Apex Legends Global Series, as we throw it back to the desk.
Lenovo Legion, gaming PCs that are stylish on the outside and savage on the inside. Lenovo Legion is the official PC and monitor of Apex Legends Global Series.
From the outside, who would know what lies beneath? Unleash it with a machine as savage as you are.
This is how legends are made.
Lenovo Legion. Stylish outside, savage inside.
All I have to say, Tom, is GG to GSD. I'll be honest, I 100% shed a tear because I could not stop myself. Fallout is absolutely right. That context, that story behind this incredible team has just been out of control to watch, and certainly to unfold in the most unique way possible here in our Game 5 finals.
Yeah, if Navi knows what's good to him, they're on the phone with their lawyers right now. Like, guys, let's get the whole team signed like 1,000%, because these guys just brought in the big bucks. They just won 36 grand. So congrats to them. But more importantly, they're the summer circuit champions, and they did it in such dominating world record fashion. 5 games, just absolutely insane. But it has to start with Dell in that game win in Kings Canyon, where he was able to just 1 versus 1, whatever it was, the third party, the solo third party, winning the 1 versus 1. Tremendous job by him, gave the team confidence to go and just play at the highest level. And hey, Nasky, you're welcome for not putting you on the top 5 teams to watch. Didn't want to curse you.
Yeah, it's sort of like that Madden curse, right? We talked about that. At any rate, there had to have been so many things that went right for Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. There had to be so many things that went right for these 3, for this squad. I think about the zone predictions. I think about their prediction, even in the final circle, that led to them over North. I mean, I feel like, Tom, in this way specifically, there had to be so many things that went right, and so many of them did. But before we go into that a little bit farther, let's get into those Game 5 results, because I know we want to see, not just we know who's got first, let's see who's second, third, fourth. Here we go. Oh, wow, look at Kick. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Kick picked up so many points right there. LG probably would have put themselves on match point fairly soon, and that's why it's so important for GSD to come out here and get that W. Playing lower trials was extremely smart. North dropping down was a big mistake. If they would have held the high ground there, it could have been a different story for them. To me, it was like North almost said, hey, that's GSD. We're in second, right? What if we just send it on GSD and take second place? Does that work? I guess so, because that portal play, like Fallout was saying, it seemed like they were going to be able to win that heal off. So a misplay by North there, but you can't take anything away from GSD. They executed when they needed to. They made the big brain plays, and Dell earlier, again on Kings Canyon, just popping off, giving his team confidence.
Absolutely. And I think once again, coming back to those zone rotations and really making the correct predictions. And as Fallout mentioned, of course, that's really experience level. That's really what that means. Is that correct, Tom? Would you say experience is really the thing that brings that into the fold?
Yeah, experience is huge, and also the way that they played that one, laying low, staying low key, staying off the kill feed. No teams knew that they were bottom trials, so they didn't get third party. They didn't get charged. No teams were sending on it because so many teams, different teams, could have griefed what they were doing and stopped them from getting that W. So they just, appeared nameless for quite some time, and then they came out and showed what they were made of with their individual skill and teamwork. Just coming out there, playing together as a unit, making fast decisions, and just making sure that they were doing it together. I think that's the key point. No matter what decision you're doing, do it as a unit.
Well, and they made that abundantly clear, and they definitely showcased exactly how to thread the needle Apex style. So, I mean, at this point, sorry, I think I was still taking notes at that point. I was still sitting there going, okay, who are you going to do? Who's going to be there? And it's just like the Americas. I was totally blown off guard, and I absolutely love that for us today, and certainly for our EMEA region. Let's take a look at the entire overall standings, because that's going to show us who has taken home what kind of moolah. Okay, we knew Nasky, Strafe, and Dell. North for sure. Anything here that's surprising you?
Well, Kick just hit that 50-point threshold, so feels bad, man, for them. That's tough. They just get to match point, and they're not able to do anything with it. North, they make their way over towards there with that second place. They're going to end up taking second overall, but that overall points standings is going to be what your leaderboard is overall. So Nasky, Strafe, and Dell, 71 points. Congratulations to them. And 71 points after 5 games is just phenomenal. It didn't matter what the format was today. GSZ said we're taking this one. So tough luck for teams like Gambit, teams like Alliance, teams like LG. We had them on the teams to watch. They weren't able to have their best day. Unfortunately, it was GSD coming through for the rest of these guys. They weren't ready for how well they were going to be playing and how tough these guys were going to be. And again, you just can't give enough credit to Dell for the way that he was able to win that game in game number 3 and just propel these guys to victory.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go back to everything having to go right and them having to play their best. Things that we have to remember, of course, we take a global view. We're in season 6. We've got some new meta. We got some new, we've got some nerfs. We got some buffs. We have some changes there, which again, one of the things I love about esports is that we can change up that meta. We can change up things in the middle of our competition, and everybody has to get used to it. Everybody's got to find their way through, and that's what Nasky, Strafe, and Dell have done. And I'll tell you, it's just out of control. And more importantly, I think one of the best things we can do now is to really showcase that win that Nasky, Strafe, and Dell had, and that is what we're going to do right now. Check this out.
Nice.
Don't
nice.
celebrate yet.
Why,
come
please, Dell. Oh, Ignace. I have this angle. I will stay here.
Just I need a master.
Are we in? Are we? Is it like where is
We're
it?
in here. Yeah. We're in somewhere here.
Move down.
I'll move forward.
It's right here on me. It's right here. Right here on this fence.
Yeah, I don't need to do anything. They come to us and we fight them. That's it.
No, I think you do portal anyway. I think you do portal anyway.
Just
the portal in, the portal in.
Yeah, we have to kill them. They don't even make it the whole way.
One down.
We won!
We won, guys.
GG's!
We won.
Fucking
we
nice.
won the tourney. We just won $36,000.
36.
I've never seen anyone so calm and winning $36,000 in my life.
Well, and that's another way that showcases exactly what they had to do things right. And you know what? Playing under extreme pressure, that's a $36,000 prize pool. That's the top of a prize pool, I should say. They had the pressure, they had the means, and they executed. And they did so even when you could hear it in the comms, there was some discrepancy about what they're going to do, where they're going to go. And they still brought it out on top. I am sitting here just delighted and dumbfounded in the best possible way, and to showcase exactly what these guys can do, Tom.
Yeah, and I love how he goes, "Don't celebrate yet. It's not over." And he's, "We won, guys. We won.
We won."
It's
cool.
That's
experience,
cool.
exactly.
It's like they knew they were gonna win. But yeah, it's funny that Nasky DMs me yesterday and had a change of heart where he's like, "We're not feeling too confident," and then maybe a couple hours later, he's like, "Never mind. We're really confident."
Well, you know what? Let's we've been talking about Nasky for sure, but let's talk about Dell. And I think we've actually got our moment of the match brought to you by Lenovo Legion, our official PC and monitor sponsor here for the ALGS. This is actually going to be at the end of Game 3 that really showcases Dell just going off. Let's take a look. And talk me through this, Tom. Apologies there.
Yeah, no worries. I was waiting for this one to start because I can't wait to see what Dell's point of view looks like. You can see the notorious, devious rat strategies that they go and use here. It's a 2-man squad of GSD, 3-man for Flavor of the Month. You have 3-man for Gambit. So this is where the big 2 versus 3 happens, where it ends up being a knock, and you see Nasky's already dead. So you're going to have Dell just one sliver of health right there, and if he dies, 4th place is not even close to what they get this game. So he picks up a handful of kill points right there. He ends up getting the shield swap off, and this is where he's still a sliver of health away. So he's only, what, 125, 126 HP going against someone that's going to be 225, and he's still able to do it. Great massive shots here. If you remember, he ends up switching to his wingman to finish the final kill, but popping the shields right here is what ends up doing it for him, where he realizes that he has this one. This player didn't even hit him, didn't sneeze on him, didn't do any type of damage, and Dell takes that one. GSD really starts to feel themselves after that, and they get $36,000 in the bank.
$36,000, and of course the title of Summer Circuit Champions here for our EMEA region, and in record form, as Fallout mentioned. My gosh, 5 games. Remember, we have already seen APAC South, APAC North, and we've already seen the Americas. And to be honest with you, they all went much farther in our game count. We were prepared to go as far as we needed to. The preseason invitational in Poland last year, a day ago last year, went to 11 games, triple-digit points. And here they are coming at it with massive momentum that clearly paid off. Let's take a look, though, because I love we talk about the teams. We've been talking, and it's easy to talk about the individuals in Nasky, Strafe, and Dell because that's part of their team name for sure. But let's talk about the kill points for individuals, because that's going to be really telling as well to see who had a great chance here today. Talk to me there, Tom.
Yeah, it's surprising not to see GSD over in the top 3. It's going to be LG Sanya coming in first place, tied with 12. So great job there. But again, it's a team effort. Individual kills, while it is great, I guarantee that Sanya would go and trade this MVP for a win, because when you look at the MVP, it has to be Dell, even though he had 9 kills overall, picking up a majority of those in King's Canyon, coming out hot there with the win in that final moment of match number 3. But just a great job all around by all these players making it over towards the top. But there wasn't many kill opportunities because this just flew by. 5 games, world record pace there for GSD. Fantastic job.
100%. And you know, it's one of those things that you're one of these things that the kill count can really showcase is exactly how strategy plays such a big part. You can run and gun, you can you can be that point leader, you can be that kill leader, and that's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But you're absolutely right, Tom. You know, I'm sure LG's player wanted to, you know, would much prefer being in GSD's position right now than they would at the top of that MVP count, because it takes a lot of patient timing to get this far, and certainly to get to the top of a leaderboard faster than any other team that we've had here today. Well, that is it for our gameplay, but guess what? You guys have been following along with us in our community all over the world, all day, all weekend. You've been up almost as long as Fallout and some of our crew members, but today we've got some tweets for you, our last tweet of our summer circuit, and I just want to showcase that right here, right now. Tom, oh, look at this. A little legend is living.
Look at the little guy.
Look at the scopes out and everything. He is learning. That's fantastic. Well done, Gavin. Well done.
And he's got a 0 gravity chair too. Just coming out hot with the smart situational awareness here, protecting the back early. Always a smart play.
I'm sensing a theme here, Tom. We got some cute kids fueling up while watching ALGS. That is a good breakfast, a breakfast of champions, one might say. Let's take a look. Thank you so much, Zach, for joining us and for getting that 1,000 Apex coins. Oh, lazy Sundays. Oh, what a cutie pie. What an adorable little muffin.
That's what I'm about to do right after this cast, not gonna lie. Just gonna take my blanket, lay down, maybe watch the rebroadcast, watch some more ALGS.
Absolutely. I love this. ALGS Summer Circuit Playoffs. EMEA Congrats history game all time. As they mentioned in our casting pairs, this was going to be what the people would tag, what was going to be on Reddit. This is exactly what's going to be tweeted. And guess what? They did it. Thank you so much, Believed. Really appreciate you watching with us and certainly appreciate that final circle little diagram there. So that's amazing. My gosh, Tom, I mean, I don't even know what to say, and that's good because we've actually got something I can say, because as we mentioned, Lenovo Legion is our official PC and monitor sponsor here, our official PC and monitors for the Apex Legends Global Series. They have been kind enough to outfit us with the Legion 7i that's rocking an i7 processor and a RTX 2080 Super Max Q. Whew, that's a lot of words, but it is a beast of a laptop, and it's certainly what's helping us come from our homes straight into yours. But they've also got one more thing that we want to talk about. Tom, are you ready for this? Hold on. It's actually on your screen.
Yeah, that's the giveaway, right? Are we doing that thing?
Oh, sure, indeed we are. And here's how it works. You're going to enter Lenovo Legion's Summer Circuit giveaway. Your chance to win a free Lenovo Legion 5i. Visit twitter.com, as you can see right there on our screen, twitter.com/Lenovo Legion for details. A huge thank you to Lenovo for coming alongside this broadcast and making sure we are showing you exactly all the drama, all the fun, and all the action from our homes to yours, as we mentioned. And my goodness, the last of it is to say, if you want to follow us on Twitter, @PlayApex. Use the hashtag ALGS. You want to follow us on Twitch? Well, we're there for you as well. Twitch.tv/PlayApex. And of course, we've got a YouTube Play Apex Compete, YouTube.com/PlayApex Compete. Make sure to follow us on all the channels, all the socials. This is going to be where you're going to go. And hey, if you want to find yourself as part of our teams to watch, as part of our lobby, as part of this epicness that is the Apex Legends Global Series, well, we might be able to accommodate that. Head on over to playapex.com/ALGS, battlefy.com/ALGS. Remember, we are here, we are happy, we are happening, and my goodness, it could not be a better time to join the Apex family.
Yeah, get ready because the autumn circuit's coming up here in a couple of weeks, everybody. I think registration is over towards the tail end of this month, so get your squads.
And there it is. It's September 22nd. Remember, battlefy.com/ALGS and playapex.com/ALGS. Well, I think that's all I've got. Tom, any last and final words that you'd like to? Oh, I do not. Wait, Tom, before you go there. I know I'm actually going to stop you even before I went there.
Yeah, but what about Madden? Kate, don't you have...
God, I'm so glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked because Madden is starting September 15th, just around the corner. We have all of the action. Tune in on must-watch Tuesday nights. Didn't know you're going to have to watch on Tuesday nights? Well, guess what? This is what your Tuesday nights should be all about. As the Madden NFL 21 Championship Series kicks off with 2 brand new weekly shows. Live coverage begins 8 p.m. Eastern with King of the Hill. Madden pros and NFL rookies each compete in their own gauntlet tournaments, followed by Derwin James versus the world, where the LA Chargers star, safety, and best NFL Madden player takes on the biggest musicians, celebrities, and athletes week after week. You can catch all that action on twitch.tv/EA Madden NFL and Madden Competitive Gaming on YouTube. Guys, it's a much watch for Tuesday nights. It's fun, it's fabulous, and it's Madden. Could I say anything more? Now, Tom, is the question. Do you have anything left to say to our audience of global Apex fans?
Yeah, big shout out to all the fans, big shout out to everybody that's watching, to all the players, all the organizations that are involved, to the crew, to UK, all the casters, the production crew, EA, Respawn, everybody involved, to Lenovo, our sponsor, and you'll see everybody in autumn. Appreciate you all.
Man, thank you so much. And what he said, have a great day, guys.